welcome in to Unobstructed Views, an alternate way to enjoy Penguins hockey. The Pittsburgh Penguins taking on the Columbus Blue Jackets tonight, but we are here inside of our studio with some special guests and a lot of fun headed your way. I'm Hannah Mears alongside not Stanley Cup champion Max Talbot today, but someone, you know what, better. This is Rob King, an esteemed host here at Sportsnet Pittsburgh. He's also the voice of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's stepping in, and Rob, we are joined, very thankful to be joined as well by the 62nd Mayor of Pittsburgh, Corey O'Connor, not Kyle Dubas, the President of Hockey Operations and General Manager for the Pittsburgh Penguins.
I get that a lot, but yes, he's slightly taller than me, but we do have a lot of trades coming up, so he and I talk about that.
I'm sure.
He calls for plowing streets. It's a good combination.
Oh, different kind of trade.
I'll
give you a bonsoir too for Max, right? Is that okay? That's
there you go.
That's
now
it.
we're even. We're covered.
That's all I got.
Got it all in.
Well, Rob, it's exciting to have you for your first show of Unobstructed Views as well. Are you excited to be here?
It's
I know
strange to
Steeler
be.
game, but
I'm used to being there, asking the questions as opposed to here, and then Mayor O'Connor and I, we were talking about this. So Mikey Welsh, right? And I'm sure you're going to mention Mikey Welsh, which is the connection here, and I'll leave that for Hannah. But the mayor and I we go way back.
Yeah.
It's been, what, 5 days? Right?
Yeah, it's been a long time. Yeah, since that rally.
Yeah. We did an event on Monday, and we were talking about the Steelers game. I guess it was a week ago Monday. It's a blur now, now that the season's over. We're at that rally, and I think we both felt really good about the Steelers.
We were optimistic at noon. At midnight, we weren't so optimistic.
No, it didn't work out. But that's where the mayor and I met at that little event.
Wow.
And I'd never been to that. I'd always seen that.
The arc in there,
the arc, and then you go in, and there's a beautiful Christmas tree, and it was really neat. Yeah, it was fun.
There were a lot of people, too. A couple hundred people. It was
Brett
great.
Kiesel came by.
Oh, Kiesel, friend of the
he's
show.
the best.
He's been on with us
best.
before. Yeah. Well, now we can hopefully turn our attention to the Penguins tonight and wish them goodwill like we did the Steelers, but hopefully we bring a win here tonight. Also the first time we've ever had a live studio audience, as Mayor Corey O'Connor brought an entourage with him because he's headed to support the Pittsburgh Panthers after this.
Yes, it's a busy sports night in Pittsburgh. So we're trying to do them all. I have my whole nephew crew here who are sports fanatics. Hopefully they all go to a good high school, but some of them live in the suburbs, so it's kind of a problem, but it's okay. Other than that, we get along in the house. It's fine, yeah.
Well, we are so glad to have you, but as we said, you are a doppelganger. You've been mistaken a few times for Kyle Dubas. What was that like the first time you saw that? Were you just as like, whoa, or have you kind of always been like, you know, I've seen him and I thought that, but.
Yeah, so it was funny. As soon as he was hired, I got a bunch of texts, and I was like, oh, I guess we look alike. And then we were walking downtown, and it was slow traffic, so as Pittsburghers, we just kind of jaywalked. Somebody rolled down his window, and I'm like, oh, geez, he's going to yell at me for jaywalking. And he said, go Pens. And I was like, I'm not the guy. I know, I'm just not him. But it was fun, and Kyle was great. Good sport about the whole thing,
I mean, look at this.
Yeah.
It's
great
unbelievable. From like the glasses to just everything, the mannerisms. This was you, I'm assuming, filming, pretending. You know, the Penguins had some fun with this, that you were the guy that night. There is a distinct height difference, though.
There is, yeah. Well, it was funny because they wanted us to approve the message like you see at all the elected official commercials.
But good for both you guys for having a sense
fun.
of humor about this,
so
the organization and you as well.
It was great. And actually, somebody said, how long did it take? And everything was first take except the two phones. I held the phones up a little long on one take, but the second take we were done. So Kyle was excited because it was right before a game, and he had all his notes. He was ready to go. So we had a good time with it. It was fun.
I'm glad. There's worse people to look like, right, in the city, especially if the Pens are doing well. Then you can take all the credit when you want, and when they're not, be like, hey, it's not me, but I'll pass along the message.
Well, it was amazing talking to him how many people say it to him. Like when he's in the grocery store, when he goes through security at the games, because most of them live in the city. So he gets it a lot too, which I thought was pretty funny.
Well, there you go. You always have somebody too you can blame for your decisions if people don't like them either,
exactly,
right? No, we're very excited to have you here.
I get Dan Potash all the time. But I think that's only because he's more famous than I am, right? They see him on the Penguins game. They think
that's you.
That has to be it. They'd rather it be Potash. Well, not anymore after this. We have so much more in store for all of you tonight on Unobstructed Views. We can't wait to see some of the game, but we also have awesome guests. You don't want to miss a single second. We hope you'll stick around with us on Sportsnet Pittsburgh Plus and SNP 360.
Here, we don't just watch the Penguins. We live every tipped puck.
Unbelievable.
Every battle.
Give me more of this.
every new prospect.
This is a glimpse of the future.
Everything you love about the Pens, we do too.
I'm down here between the benches.
You know what that means, Pens fans?
Cheers for that.
We manifested it.
Stream the Penguins all season long on SNP 360.
No one gets you ready for puck drop like Penguins Face Off Live. Pre-game insights, analysis, and a word straight from the coach. Penguins Face Off Live before every game on Sportsnet Pittsburgh. Presented by Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield.
And congratulations to our guest and Mayor of Pittsburgh, Corey O'Connor, on his first official week as mayor in Pittsburgh. This is about 2 weeks in now officially, but these are from you around Pittsburgh and going and visiting a bunch of different people and places around the city in your first week, right?
Yeah, I mean, we had a great first week. The staff set all of these events up. You know, they know I don't like sitting in the office because you get more accomplished by going out in the street, seeing what's happening, talking to people, you know, getting their feel for how their neighborhoods are doing. Yesterday we did a neighborhood cleanup in Knoxville. Love going to senior centers. They give you the honest truth,
Yep.
which is always good. Yeah, one of them said, "Do they let you drive a car yet?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm not 16 years old."
Yeah.
Like, thank you for sort of the compliment.
Yeah.
But I think it's good. I mean, you have to, as the mayor, you have to be out in all the neighborhoods, talking to them, and then putting out our vision for growth and opportunity. We did a small business walkthrough in Homewood about startups and entrepreneurs and speeding up permits so they can open up their stores. And I think there's a lot of buzz right now in Pittsburgh.
Absolutely.
So it's exciting. Yeah.
And Pittsburgh always has buzz surrounding their sports teams as puck
As they just dropped
here.
it, yeah.
By the way, I love that line about the senior center. Like, they don't have any time left
Yep.
to be like, they're like, here's the truth.
They're
man.
right, yeah. They go right
We don't have
into
time
it.
to mess around.
I walked in the one time and they said, "You know, the meatloaf was a little cold." I said, "Well, I'm not in charge of cooking the food."
If you could just warm up my meatloaf a little bit more.
There's only so much we can do, but I think that's the best part about serving Pittsburghers. They love it. They love their city. They're so proud to be from Pittsburgh, so we have a good time.
I got to tell you too, like, I just get so wrapped up in the season. Like, I don't even know what time it is or what day it is, and I can't believe it's just been that. So
Yeah,
when we
2
met, when we did that, was that your first day?
That was the official first week. That was the first week, yeah. So that completed the first week.
So
yes.
it's been a whirlwind, and I
That's
know
been, yeah.
you want to roll up your sleeves and get right to work, right, and throw yourself into it. How do you stop yourself from like working, 25-hour days?
Yeah, I don't think it ever stops, especially in your head. You're always thinking of the next thing, and you have snowstorms, you have various things that will pop up. Community meetings, getting out in the neighborhoods, but then also, making sure, we have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old at home.
Busy.
And they ground you when you get home. Yeah. You're no longer the mayor when you walk in the door. So I think that's helpful, and the kids actually love going to different events. They did go to a Pirate game. So Emmett, the whole time driving to a Pirate game this summer, was like, "I have to see the parrot. I have to see the parrot." The parrot walked down the hallway and he ran to us and said, "I want to go home and I want to go to bed immediately." I was like, "Okay."
Oh my God.
It's like when a kid sees Santa Claus for the
Yeah,
first
right. They're
time.
like,
Right?
I'm a little off.
But by the way, so it sounds like being mayor was like all the stuff that my wife has to do. You have to do that too for the city.
Yeah, it's
just
great.
count me out.
Exactly.
That sounds too busy to me.
But it's fun, and I think having kids and it actually gives us a good talking point when you're talking about how we're raising our family here. More people should. And I think it really helps to make that connection to younger families in Pittsburgh. We were walking kids to school, from after school to one of our rec centers the other day, and just talking to them about why they like coming to the rec centers, and that's what it's all about.
Right.
And like you said, we have so many great sports teams here that put a national spotlight on Pittsburgh all the time.
Well, Mikey Welsh is somebody here at Sportsnet Pittsburgh, a very valued member of our team behind the scenes. He doesn't want the shout out, but he is the reason you are here. You went to high school with him at Pittsburgh Central Catholic. And I think it's interesting because he said you didn't always want to be the mayor, but he felt like you were always going to be involved. So when did the tides turn a little bit?
Well, yeah. So we played baseball together. So we were shortstop and second base.
Good,
we played,
good baseball player too?
We were pretty good. We won a couple city titles.
Who was shortstop?
So I started at short, and then I blew out my arm a couple times. So I went to second.
Okay.
Mikey played short. And then our dads were really good friends growing up. So I already invited him. So St. Patrick's Day parades, we would always walk through. And there was the blizzard of '93, and we still walked in the parade. And him and his sister came, and they were all decked out in their green. So, yeah, we go way, way back.
And by the way, Mikey's dad is the greatest.
The best.
He is.
The
He's
best.
an awesome guy. And Mikey's a chip off the old block. Not only a great guy, not only a great human being, but super talented at graphics and other. I mean, he's just.
And he wouldn't have let that goal in. He wouldn't have let that goal in either, as the Penguins here early trailing 1-0, but turning our attention back to something better. Oh, and against Zach Aston Reese, the former
Penguin.
Pittsburgh Penguin.
Yep.
And the Penguins' goaltending has been really solid as of late. Defense has been great.
Stu Skinner's not in tonight.
He's not in tonight. It's Archer Sheehouse.
Yeah, after the trade, he's been doing pretty well.
He's been great.
Which is good.
So, Pens too, they ended their 3-game skid, so it's okay. The guys have been feeling, Blake Lizotte said the other day after the game, they were feeling some momentum. So let's hope they can gain some momentum here and get back. But when did tides turn for you to say, you know what, all right, I'm going to go run for mayor?
To run, I mean, I think having the experience on city council and I think being raised in a family that wanted to give back. I think that was always something that we were taught to do as a very young age, and my sister and brother do the same. But I think last year, when we were coming to the decision, I asked my wife, she said, look, opportunities don't come up like this. I think you can do a good job. It's now time to step up and take the opportunity, and we did. I just saw Pittsburgh just in a little bit of a funk, and we weren't being talked about on a national level as much as we should, but we also weren't taking care of the basics. We did our walking tour the first day of downtown, and we saw 100, I guess, newsstand or paper stands where we don't print papers anymore except the Business Times. Why are they still on our streets? It's the little things that always bother me. So we've picked up over 100 and got them off our streets. It's like the little details that I see that weren't being taken care of. And I think having that vision of everything matters, the small details to the big ones, you need to step up and do it. And, it's only been a couple weeks, and I'm sure there's going to be ups and downs, but I think you do it for the people of Pittsburgh who deserve, the basics that weren't getting taken care of, and opportunities. There's a lot of opportunities in Pittsburgh that we talk about, and we're not amplifying them enough. So thought it was a good opportunity, worked out in the election, but, now the tough part.
We just saw a really awesome photo of you and your father on screen as well, and I know his political influence probably had a lot to do with your career and how things have shaped out, and he would be so proud. You can tell the passion in your voice when you talk about Pittsburgh, but what was his impact like?
Oh, it was amazing. I mean, I think, he always would come in and, hey, read this. We just did this. This is really important to the city. This is the future. I want all of you to stay in Pittsburgh, and all of us did. So I think, seeing how he prioritized the people first, and he had a slogan on his desk, the #1 priority are the people of Pittsburgh. So I think having that mindset every day and learning, growing up, and we're obviously different. And I said this to somebody the other day, whatever I did in life, I was always going to be Bob's son. But I have a different mindset on how I'm going to get things done compared to him, but very similar in so many ways. Sorry.
Yeah, it's such an awesome city. I mean, it's architecturally, it's interesting. There's different ethnicities, so you get different kinds of food and cultures, and it's just it's a wonderful place, man. It really is.
It is, and I think, in less than 100 days now, when you have the draft here, think about how much we can talk about it. I mean,
what
you're
is that going to be like
force.
for you? I feel like that's going to be pretty stressful. You're a new mayor, and now you've got something as a monster production as the draft coming to the city.
Yeah, I mean, it's the biggest event we'll ever host, probably. So I think for us right now, it's organizing, making sure each, the fan zone, the fan experiences are well taken care of, making sure that the construction is done on time so we can get those places open, like the Point and Station Square or Market Square, get everything up and running. But then make sure, the security's there, transit is there, how everything is timed out, because we want people to come to Pittsburgh and leave and say, oh my gosh, this was a great city. Like, you're going to get people from Buffalo, from Denver. We probably have a chance because of where we are with all the NFL markets. You know it better than I do. But we're probably in a more central location than most to host the draft. And I think we're going to get an overwhelming experience. And that week, that's just going to be a blur. It's going to be every night. But I think for the mayor that week, I should be walking in the crowd, asking people what they like about Pittsburgh, getting different perspectives, stopping in at Kelly O's for breakfast and saying, hey, how do you like Pittsburgh? That has to be our job, as well as when there are major companies that are coming here and major sponsors. I need to get in front of them and say, hey, have you ever thought about investing in Pittsburgh? And that's our big job that week.
I would imagine it's like, I'm sure you wish you had more time, right?
Oh,
like
yeah,
another
a
year
little
to
bit more
prepare for
time.
it. Because,
so many ideas,
I mean, it would strike me that you want to fix things internally, right? So the two things, right? You want to get things the way you want internally, and then you also want to spread the word of how great Pittsburgh is.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be a whirlwind, but I think, what we have in place right now in public safety and our parks departments, I think everybody is ready to make sure it's a great experience.
Hey, we can't wait. It's been
We're
great
ready.
having you.
That was fast.
I know you've got to get over to Pitt basketball, but it's been a pleasure.
Sorry.
We can't wait to see everything you do.
Bring those
in your
Panthers
turn.
a win.
I know,
We'll
I know.
have you back. We'll have you back
we'll be
another
back.
time.
We'll be back. Well,
And
if you
we'll be
need
back.
anything, just let Kyle know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I will tell
Or Mikey Welch, either
We'll be
one.
back with more Unobstructed Views coming your way next.
Inside Penguins Hockey is back.
Let's go eat sushi.
For an all-new season.
And now he's your best friend.
Yeah. Hitting a line in the water is always a joy for me.
Inside Penguins Hockey. New episodes every month on Sportsnet Pittsburgh. Presented by UPMC Health Plan. The road to puck drop begins on Penguins Tonight. A first look at the latest game news, stories from around the league, and so much more. Penguins Tonight, 1 hour before every game on Sportsnet Pittsburgh. Presented by Morgan & Morgan.
Enjoy Penguins hockey. I'm Hannah Mears alongside Rob King, who is such an esteemed voice here at Sportsnet Pittsburgh.
Not me. Not me over there. That's Dan Potash over there.
Oh, that's Dan Potash. But we love Dan Potash. He is over there in PBG Paints Arena with Haley Hunter for all of your coverage on the main channel. But we're having some fun over here. We just had the mayor of Pittsburgh. I felt really honored to be in his presence. He's so fun and energetic and has a lot of great ideas, Rob. But I mean, what was your thoughts?
I didn't realize.
Pretty big deal.
I didn't realize that when I met him at the rally, there was a rally for the Steelers, and I didn't realize he just started. I live under my own rock that only deals with sports and books and other things, and I had no idea he just started. But good for him. I mean, he seems like he's ready for it. He seems natural, and be good for the city of Pittsburgh if he can pull it all together.
Talk about doppelganger nation as well, because I think it's really ironic that we have Kyle Dubas, and Corey O'Connor and how much they look alike. And then when Dan Mears, the new head coach of the Pittsburgh Penguins, was hired this year, he looked just like Joe Block.
Joe Block was getting it.
Joe Block was really getting that this season. So kind of odd here in Pittsburgh. Lookalikes. When is yours going to come in? When is mine going to come in? You never know.
I mean, I'm telling you, and I've told this to Dan. He shakes his head all the time. But I think I explain why I get mistaken for him, because people would see us in the Penguins broadcast together for years. But Dan was,
and they hear name, not face.
Yeah. But he never gets Rob King, by the way.
Yeah.
I always get Dan Potash, so it's all good. All good stuff.
Well, there have been familiar faces around Pittsburgh for a long time. You've had the pleasure of covering 3 really big names here as well, in Crosby and Malkin and Letang. Really cool to see the big 3 going, but we're also getting to see a lot of change in the Pittsburgh Pirates organization as well. One big name last year that was a good addition, Spencer Horwitz, the first baseman. And we're going to try to bring in Spence now. He's been polite enough to share a bit of his evening with us. What's up, Spence?
What's up, guys? How you guys doing?
Oh, we're fabulous. It's great to hear you. Where are you at? What you doing? I know it's the off season.
It's the off season. Yeah, it's winding down. We got about 3 weeks left down here in Charlotte, and then heading up to Pirate Fest next week, and then it's down to spring training, and we're right back to work.
Are you excited to kind of reconnect with the fans? I know Pirates Fest, like you said, is next week. Kind of feel like baseball season's around the corner then?
Yeah, I mean, the Steelers ended my my Ravens season a little early, so
not sorry
it's
about
felt
that.
like baseball season since then. But once we get to Pirate Fest, yeah, it seems like the season's pretty close.
You've got to be.
What I was going to say, one of my fun moments of the year was calling that Tyler Loop misfield. Not for Tyler Loop's sake, but because everybody thought he was going to make it, right?
He did.
Me included, he hadn't missed 150 all year.
I know, I heard you. I was listening to your call of it, too. And so, Spencer, if you don't know,
Spencer.
This is Rob King. He is the voice of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So he got to call that. But you did grow up in Maryland, so you were also a Capitals fan. You were a Ravens fan. I mean, kind of an enemy here for us, not going to lie.
Yeah, I was raised in enemy territory, hating the Steelers, hating the Penguins, but I think I'm adjusting to the black and gold myself.
But wait, I have to ask though, we were just kind of mentioning the names of the big 3 here in Pittsburgh, in Crosby, Malkin, and Letang. What was your experience growing up being on like the Ovechkin side of things? Because we here in Pittsburgh, we're all on the Crosby side of things.
The greatest goal scorer ever. I've always been a huge Ovechkin fan. Everyone had the yellow laces when I was growing up playing hockey, doing the half-tuck jersey. He's the grade 8 for a reason.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if were you old enough to remember, Spencer, some of those crushing defeats, not to bring up bad memories to you.
Keep bringing the bad memories to Spence.
It seemed like the Penguins got the Caps, several years in a row. There was obviously the great game where Ovechkin came down in Game 7 and Fleury made the save on him. Do you remember all that?
I remember all of it, watching it with my brother and my dad on the big screen in the basement, just staying up late, having tired mornings at school the next day, and the heartbreak that comes with it. It's the best.
Well, do you want to know the best part about Pittsburgh is our teachers always took it easy on us the next day after there was a big hockey game or football game, because we take our sports really serious here. So that way they were up late watching it, and they knew we'd be up late as well. But Spence, baseball season, obviously a big thing in your life. Pirates Fest, like we said, Saturday, January 24th, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Season ticket holders, early entry at 9 a.m. Admissions free. Come on down. We're going to have so much fun. Spence is going to be there. There's meet and greets that take place. A lot of fun that happens. But Spence, I'm curious. You said you're adapting here to the black and gold. What was your first season in Pittsburgh like?
It was fun. I got to connect with the fans, got to make new friends, new teammates, and hopefully we can add to the win column this year. We made some great additions this offseason.
Look at this, adding to a total. Thank goodness Spencer Horwitz is here. We might have to keep him on, this Capitals fan, because it is 1-1. Penguins tie it up, but keep going, Spence. Didn't mean to interrupt. Just wanted to let you know your good luck, so we're going to keep you around for a while.
No, yeah, it's my first time in Pittsburgh. It was amazing. It was I had never played at PNC Park before until I finally got to get in there in late May, and it was well worth the wait. And I know a lot of the guys are itching to get back right now.
So I did have a conversation with Spencer, and I'm gonna try to jog your memory, Spencer. But we're talking just as you started. It was like May or June. You really started to hit the ball more consistently, and I was talking to you about your off season. And you couldn't actually swing a bat. And there's people don't understand how big of a deal that is. And I was glad for you personally, of course, for the Pirates too, for you personally that you finished the season so strong and could show people, you know, what you could do over the bulk of your season. But you couldn't work out, you couldn't swing a bat, waiting for that surgery to happen. And it's not just about spring training, it's the lead up to spring training as well. So really gratified to see you, for your sake and again for the Pirates' sake, you know, pick up. But that was a tough, and you're coming to a new team and you want to hit the ground running, and that's not an easy transition.
Yeah, it was a year of a lot of firsts, that's for sure, with the new team and my first injury that I've ever dealt with. But that comes with what we do. And yeah, it's not an excuse, but it was definitely different. And just learning to navigate with a new team and navigate through the injury protocol. Yeah, it was something I struggled with in the beginning, but gradually got better at it.
Well, we know that you're going to be able to hit the ground running a little bit better here. We'll catch up more about that on Sportsnet Pittsburgh Plus with Unobstructed Views.
Here, we don't just watch the Penguins. We live every tipped puck.
Unbelievable.
Every battle.
Give me more of this.
Every new prospect.
This is a glimpse of the future.
Everything you love about the Pens, we do too.
I'm down here between the benches.
You know what that means, Pens fans?
Cheers for that.
The front, did they score? We manifested it.
Stream the Penguins all season long on SNP 360.
No one gets you ready for puck drop like Penguins Face Off Live. Pre-game insights, analysis, and a word straight from the coach. Penguins Face Off Live before every game on Sportsnet Pittsburgh. Presented by Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Spencer Horwitz was not only a really valuable member of the Pittsburgh Pirates lineup this season, but he also used to lace up the skates on the ice. Look at him. He was getting after it in high school, won 2 state championships in high school. Spencer, we need all the details of you playing hockey in high school. I know you and I have talked about it a little bit before in the season, but for all of our hockey viewers tuning in, I'm sure they're very excited to now know this about you.
Yeah, growing up, I loved ice skating, and my school was one of the few that had hockey. And my 6th grade science teacher really convinced me to get out there and start playing, and it was so much fun. Yeah, our team just got gradually better and better. And we had a group that stuck together for many years. And I wasn't the key goal scorer or anyone. I was just the defenseman that wasn't afraid to throw his body around and go into a corner, but and just give it to the guys up top. But no, hockey has always been my number 2 love, and I miss it a lot.
You know, at that age too, I mean, those are guys you're growing up with and guys you've probably known for a while. Special to win something like that at the high school level, huh?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I remember those 2 games like literally like it was yesterday, and I don't think it's something I'm ever going to forget.
But you said you weren't like the esteemed goal scorer on the team, but you were getting, you know, were you an enforcer out there, Spence? Is that who you were? Trying to downplay that?
I tried to be. No, but yeah, I just by no means the best player on our team, but I held my own and just tried to do everything I could to help us win, and it worked out.
You said your 6th grade, your science teacher told you to play hockey?
Yeah, he was the varsity hockey coach at the time.
Okay, there we go. I was like, what does your science teacher have to do with hockey here?
Yeah, he was the varsity hockey coach, and caught wind that I liked skating, and he got me out there, and just grew from there.
Spencer would have been right in the middle of that scrum right there. Yeah. Would have been. We got a scrum right here. Spencer would have been right in the middle of that. What did you find as the differences between hockey and baseball growing up? I mean, I don't know if back in those days, I know it used to be, it's gotten better here because there's more rinks, but it used to be like, 4 o'clock in the morning, the moms are waking the kids up to get them to the rink, and it's cold, and then of course baseball, it's warm. But I mean, what were the main differences for you for being on those two different teams?
For me, hockey was always a good break from baseball. It was. I don't support when people are just kids, especially, are playing one sport. I think it helped me though, just with my athleticism, my coordination, my timing, and just learning how to be part of a team. In baseball, it's pretty isolating when you're in the box by yourself and you're playing your own position. But working together as a team, much more when you got 5 guys on the ice and you're all going for one goal. It definitely just gave me a different perspective.
Did you have those crazy ice times like Rob was talking about? What were your ice times like?
Yeah, it was the 4 a.m. wake-ups, and then after school, we had to wait. Our ice time wasn't until 7 p.m. most nights, so we weren't getting home till 10.
Brutal.
Yeah, and that makes the parents the MVPs, by the way.
You know
exactly.
What I mean?
The kids get to play, right?
Shout out to his parents because, unbelievable.
Yeah, that's good stuff. And I do think it's really interesting the way you frame that, Spencer, because a lot of people, don't realize that baseball really is. I mean, yes, it's a team game, but so much of it is individual. It's the pitcher on the mound and you in the box, and it's different defensively. But, good to get different perspectives playing different sports, whether it's golf or tennis, which are totally individual, or baseball, which can be a mix, or football and hockey, which are probably tilt more in the togetherness, having to depend on the next guy kind of thing.
Spence, I'm curious too, along these lines, did playing hockey and using a stick ever hurt you feel like your baseball swing? Two different motions, I know, and I know guys play golf a lot, so I don't think it would matter. But
I was thinking the eye-hand coordination would help him.
Or it would help him, right?
Yeah, that's what I would think.
Yeah, I'd say probably one thing I could do with the puck was have a pretty good slap shot.
Right, sure.
So I think that did help me. It helped me figure out different timings on when you had to get the one-timer going or just how to be quicker. So I think it really did help me. And I like I said, I miss hockey, and I think everyone should try different sports just to test yourself and just get more body awareness.
See, that's another great thing, too. And first of all, I totally agree about playing more sports for kids. It helps your
100%.
athleticism, helps build different muscles, helps you do different things. But you're right. I mean, like if you're shooting a one-timer, somebody might lay the puck to you, somebody might fire it to you. You have to adjust it at different velocities, much like not quite as same as being in the box, but at least that would be similar as, you don't know what the pitcher's going to throw, and now it's off speed or it's fastball or what have you.
Exactly, yeah. And that's a lot of people couldn't fathom that. Like when we would practice, I remember it was our first time trying slap shots, and I was in I think it was 7th grade. And to me, it came natural. It was just this is just like hitting a baseball. Just aim a touch behind it, lean back, and let it rip.
Lefty or righty?
Lefty.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, because some people, it's
That's right,
different.
they go offhand.
Yeah,
that's right.
Ambidextrous there at times.
Yeah.
Well, still 1-1 here. How much do you keep up with, NHL now? Do you ever, keep up with hockey at all, Spence, in the off season?
Nothing's better than playoff hockey. So when the playoffs come around, I definitely tune in more. But no, I always try to get to a game or two. My family and my girlfriend loves going, and so we always try to get to a game. And then last year we got to go. We were in Pittsburgh. I think it was the first week. But yeah, I always love going to games.
Yeah, I remember you guys getting to go and cheer on the Penguins. Hopefully that crowd heading to PNC Park sometime soon to see Spencer. We have a little bit more with Spencer when we come back, so stick with us on Unobstructed Views.
Here, we don't just watch the Penguins. We live every tipped puck.
Unbelievable.
Every battle.
Give me more of this.
Every new prospect.
This is a glimpse of the future.
Everything you love about the Pens, we do too.
I'm down here between the benches.
You know what that means, Pens fans?
Cheers to that.
The fuck did they score? We manifested it.
Stream the Penguins all season long on SNP 360.
No one gets you ready for puck drop like Penguins Face Off Live. Pre-game insights, analysis, and a word straight from the coach. Penguins Face Off Live before every game on Sportsnet Pittsburgh. Presented by Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Welcome back to Unobstructed Views. Well, since Spencer Horwitz of the Pittsburgh Pirates is joining us right now, let's take a look at what some of the roster additions look like for the Pittsburgh Pirates this offseason. Ryan O'Hearn, first base. Outfield a little bit as well. Might team at DH. Brandon Lau, second base. Jake Mangum, Mason Montgomery, and Gregory Soto, pitchers. Got to speak with a lot of them this offseason, Rob, on Zoom. All seem like great additions to the Pirates clubhouse. Exciting for what they can bring to the field. But Spencer, we're most curious what your thoughts are of some of your new teammates and how things are shaping up.
Yeah, I'm ecstatic. We added 2 All-Stars, so that's definitely never a bad thing on any team. And then we added a lot of depth that we needed as well. We had a plethora of pitching, and the offense struggled more than the pitching last year, and it seems like we made good additions to try and bolster that offense a little bit.
Have you had conversations at all about, with Ryan O'Hearn here now, what that could look like with your position, where you might be shaping up? I know we had seen you taking some reps at second base last season at times, maybe pushing into this season. What's that kind of looking like for you?
Yeah, I think it's I talked to Ben and DK about it, and it seems like it's going to be mostly first base, some DH, some second base, and it's just be ready for anything. And that's kind of what I'm always doing and training for in the offseason, is just to be as athletic and versatile as I can be. But this year, I focused a little more just on my defense in the offseason, just in case.
Yeah.
Do you like moving around?
I love it. I love playing second. It's just a different angle, different challenge, and that's what I had to do to get to the big leagues with Toronto. And I just view it as another challenge.
You know, the depth of the lineup is just going to be so much better. And the Pirates have talked about not being finished. You know, they may add some more guys. And then that takes maybe some of the pressure off of some of the returning guys, yourself, O'Neal Cruz, Brian Reynolds. Maybe not only does it make the lineup better, but it also maybe makes the returning guys a little bit better too, take some of the pressure off.
Yeah, and I think everyone around the Pirates, we believe that O'Neal and Brian are going to get back to the form that we're used to seeing, and that last year was a bit of an anomaly for both of them. And it's hard going through a new manager and getting a new hitting coach. They went through a lot too, a lot of new firsts, a change, and I think there's going to be a comfortability there now this year, and everyone believes in DK, and DK has our back, so we're all super excited.
There's going to be a lot of different faces, though, on this staff. Obviously, DK kind of got to form his own coming into this season, but he will be a constant presence and someone coming into spring where there is a little consistency for you personally with Matt Haig. He's been the only hitting coach you've really ever had at the professional level. And then you have DK now, a guy you've been very familiar with at your manager. Does that make you feel more comfortable now after your first year with the team? It's not going to be so new to you, whether it's faces or just being in the organization in general.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when I went to Pirate Fest last year, comparing it to next week when I'm there, I didn't know how to get into the clubhouse. It was my first time going to PNC Park. But yeah, I mean, the comfortability level and the familiarity of everyone, I think it's going to be great. And then you just add even more talent on the pitching side and the hitting side, and guys that have a lot of experience in playing in the playoffs and being in World Series. Like, it can only help.
Yeah, 2 nasty lefties in that bullpen, too. I'm glad you mentioned the pitching side because, yes, the Pirates are probably going to have to go out and add a starting pitcher. They traded one to get Spencer Horwitz, which we're happy about, and then they traded some more. But adding those 2 lefties in the bullpen, man, those guys have good arms, really good arms.
Yeah, they both throw, I think, near 100. And as a lefty myself, that's a tough one.
You see a lot of that nowadays, too, a lot of that triple digits coming at you.
The other thing I wanted to ask you, Spencer, was, and Hannah knows more about this. Hannah's obviously with the team every day. I'm here in the studio for the most part, but, try to get over there as much as I can. It seems like a good young group of guys that like being around each other. I think you've gotten, you've added some other guys, some younger guys are certainly going to be coming up. But, over the course of a season, everybody doesn't have to get along, but it's kind of nice when everybody's pulling in the right direction. And I get the sense just being in the clubhouse, it's that kind of a group.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like the guys that we're adding to that group are great guys too. It's like just around the league, they're very well respected, and just playing against them, it seems like they're the guys that are vocal on their team and the guys that are the leaders.
Yeah, I got that sense when we were talking to them. There was Ryan O'Hearn, whether it was Lau, whether it was a guy, O'Hearn may be more of a vocal guy, even though he claims not to be a vocal leader. He definitely seemed like he had more of that presence, but they seem like guys who are good leaders. And Magnum obviously said really good things about Lau as well, coming from Tampa, so excited for that. But Spence, who do you see yourself as over there? I'm curious because something that Spence won't ever tell anybody, but I'm going to brag about him a little bit. There's been multiple times from my position. Here we go. All right, Spence, so he's going to stick around for the rest of the game now that the Pens are up 2-1. Ricard Raquel finishing that one. But something that Spence won't tell anybody, Rob, but I get to see. There's been multiple occasions last season. There were multiple occasions where Spencer would pull a guy over that was about ready to step in the batter's box, say something. The next minute, they either did something, like they either got a double, they just got a hit, they did something significant offensively in the game, or go head out there and hit a home run. And Spence is the reason behind it sometimes.
Wow.
He won't tell you that. He won't admit to it every time I ask him about it after the game, but teammates have said it. Yeah, Spence said to look for this, and all of a sudden it was there. So were you that guy, or are you just sort of the eyes and ears back there, Spence?
I tell people what I see, and I hope they do the same, because we need all the help we can get in that box. But no, yeah, anything I can do to help the guys and try and get a win, that's all I'm trying to do.
It is, I have to say too, so I'm considerably older than both you guys. No, yes I am.
No way.
So some of these pitches, like a gyro, it just didn't exist.
Yeah.
The sweeper didn't exist. It was fastball, curveball, slider, changeup, and guys would vary their grips and they would do certain things to manipulate the baseball. But it is just so hard to hit right now. I mean, you have 2/5 of a second to make up your mind. Guys used to naturally, like a Roy Halladay, naturally have great tunneling. Now they can go engineer it in a lab.
Yep.
I mean, you guys got to do whatever you can to fight back in that box, Spencer.
100%. Yeah, and hitting's at a premium right now, and you see it with all these free agent signings, and we just gotta. I think that's what we gotta do as a team, as an offensive unit together, is just help each other out as much as we can. Because, like you said, these guys they're going to these labs and they're seeing all this training, and we have to combat it somehow.
What's it like to play behind Paul Skeens, who, I'm old. I've never seen anybody like him, and I love watching him pitch. What's it like playing behind him?
It's pretty boring because he strikes everyone out. But no, just getting to see him work every day, I think that's the best part. Because what you guys see is when he's on the mound that's just another day for him. But the other 4 or 5 days a week is the really impressive part, when how diligent he is in his work, his preparation, and helping other guys too. And
the mental part of it. I called the game and I said he reminded me of the Terminator, because the Terminator, you see the movie, he learns so fast. He's got unbelievable physical skills, and then he learns so fast. I mean, he's still learning, and the mentality that he brings to the mound. I mean, the physical skills are off the charts, obviously, but so are the mental skills and everything. It seems the competitiveness, really kind of Spencer, everything he brings to the mound.
Yeah, it's what he brings to the mound and what he brings to the locker room too. It's like when he says something, people listen. And his words hold a little different weight when he's out there every 5th day doing what he does and then going about his business so well as well.
Well, he's going to hold a little bit of a presence as well, walking in, having just won a Cy Young as well. It's going to be a little bit different, but how much of a privilege here in Pittsburgh we get to see guys like Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, Chris Letang, Paul Skeens, and now, of course, in the black and gold, Spencer Horwitz, who was so great with his time tonight. I know off-season you've got a lot going on. You're going to be in Pittsburgh next week, but we really appreciate you stopping by, Spence, and sharing some of your hockey knowledge with us, giving us a glimpse into your off-season. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Can't
Spencer.
wait to see you next week and catch up in person.
Of course. Thanks for having me, guys. See you next week.
Thanks, Spence. We appreciate your time. Rob, we've got so much more for these viewers coming back on Unobstructed Views. We'll see you guys next period.
Well, as we continue to celebrate so many Sidney Crosby milestones, as of late, we are so excited to be welcoming in Rob Rossi to the vodcast, who has 21 years of experience as the Penguins beat reporter for various outlets and has certainly had hundreds of interviews with Sid himself in the locker room over the last couple of decades. Rob, so great to see you. Thanks for coming on. And how was the holiday break for you?
It was great. It was great. It's good to see you guys. I'm not around as much now. It's kind of weird. So I get to see my friends here, and congratulations on this. This has been fun to watch from afar. So I'm happy to join you. And I think the holiday break was great just because the Penguins keep winning coming out of it. So
no. Hey, it's so exciting. Well, I loved seeing, of course, when Sid became the all-time points leader over Mario Lemieux. You posted something on your social media that night, December 21st, after that game at PPG Paints Arena. Would love to have you share that with us, because that was a really cool story that takes us to his first home game as a Penguin at Mellon Arena.
Yeah, I'll try to keep it shorter than the video. So when Sid scored his goal,
details. No, take your time.
Well, the funniest part about that story is what I left out, which was I ended up having to chase Christina Aguilera around the lower bowls of the old Civic Arena because she sang the national anthem, and it was a surprise. And I was the only one willing to go interview her from the paper that I was working at the time. But the morning of that day, the morning skate, so the Penguins had opened the season with 2 road games that year. And so they were coming back to play the Boston Bruins, and the media, it was sort of like a Stanley Cup final type media contingent, because you had people from all over the North America coming to cover Crosby's first game. It was such a hyped event. Felt like all of Canada was here. And it was probably the first time since I'd been around the Penguins at that point where Mario Lemieux wasn't the guy everybody was trying to talk to. Mario kind of enjoyed it. So Sid comes off for the morning skate. Back then, he took morning skates, and he was usually one of the last guys off the ice. And he comes off and sits in his locker in the old Civic Arena home dressing room, sitting under his bench. And Mario kind of uses the opportunity to sneak out to there was a player's lounge connected right to the locker room. It was very small. And so everybody was talking to Sid. And I said to a colleague, I said, why don't you listen to Sid? I'm going to go try to get Mario. And I just nodded in my direction. So I was like, so I go, and there was, I remember very specifically, there was like this little mini bar where players would make a smoothie or get coffee. And there was like 2 smoothie machines and a coffee machine. And it was a primitive coffee machine. And Mario, being the health nut that he was, always went for the coffee. So, so he's getting his cup of coffee. And, I go up to him, and he kind of gives me that look, which is like, what, you going to ask me something? And so I said, you don't really think this guy's going to like break all of your records, do you? And for those unfamiliar with Mario, he doesn't need to say a lot. Sometimes he doesn't need to say anything at all. He'll just give you sort of a wink. And that's what he did. He kind of winked and smiled. He goes, he probably will. I always remembered that because, like, at first I kind of thought, oh, this is the owner of the team just going along with a narrative, right? And then by the end of Sidney Crosby's first year, you're like, oh wow, this guy's like, he's legit. Sid's such a different player than Mario. Mario was sort of this alien that did things on the ice that we had never seen before or since from a big guy. Sid's a different type of never seen before, because in that season, Sid was a kid. I mean, literally, that was the name, Sid the Kid. But it was like we joked the first day of practice, he just looked like a 25-year-old at 18 or 19 or whatever he was at the time. So he was just built different, and he had a tremendous first year. But sort of towards the end of that first year, I kept going back to that thing Mario told me. And I shared it with Sid, I think, when he became the all-time Penguins game play leader. I sent him a message and just said, hey, because I would always say to him in the room, like, well, you're going to get Mario's records. And he would be like, yeah, but Mario played a lot less games than I did. Sid was always very clear about that. So I reminded Sid of the story the night he scored the goal. I sent him, or the night he broke Mario's record for points. And I sent him it. And I said, look, it's all you got left is the goal record. And he goes, yeah, that one's going to be a little tougher. But he goes, I love hearing that story. He goes, I have told it before to other people too. So, but he claims Mario never told him that Mario that he thought he was going to break all the records. But so I think I'm like the conduit between those two. So it's yeah, it was weird to watch from afar, but I'll always remember that moment of Mario predicting it. And of course, if anybody would know, right, it would be Mario Lemieux.
That is
That's
so
awesome,
cool.
Rob.
And I'm curious, like, what do you remember about those two being in the same locker room together? Like, what was that dynamic like of Mario really taking Sid under his wing?
Well, the first thing I remember was, even though Mario was the captain of that team, Sid very quickly became sort of the heartbeat of that team. It was an interesting group. There were a lot of veterans. The Penguins had gone out and signed guys like Ziggy Palffy and Sergei Gonchar and John LeClaire. They'd signed a lot of veterans, but they also had this young group coming in. And Ed Olczyk was the coach at the beginning of the year. The things I remember that year were, the only time I saw Sid really angry was when the Flyers kind of tried to physically beat on him and accuse him of being a whiner. And I remember Mario kind of like joking with us one day in the room after Sid had this game in Philadelphia when we came back to Pittsburgh, and there was like a practice. They used to practice at the old Mellon Arena or the Civic Arena at that point. And somebody said to Mario, Sid had got his teeth knocked out. I think, I forget who it was. Maybe it might've been Darian Hatcher. And then he scored an overtime goal to beat them. And Mario's just kind of like, yeah, that's how you kind of get welcomed into it. They just try to beat you up, and then you gotta make them pay. And it was like, I remember Mark Madden, the radio host in town, saying, well, yeah, that's the night he became a Penguin. But what I really remember was Edzo would always talk to Mario like about everything before a game at the morning skate. And Sid was like sort of respectfully trying to know his role and know his place. But it was about 3 weeks in where like even John LeClaire was like, yeah, this guy's kind of the captain. Like he's pointing at Sid, like Mario's Mario, but Mario was the owner too. So you got to remember that. But Sid's personality kind of really took over. The other thing is there was this weird stretch where they played Sid on wing on Mario's line, which was a terrible idea because Sid hated it. He felt very uncomfortable at wing, and Mario, to his admission, said, I can't skate to keep up with him at that point. Mario was basically skating on one healthy hip. And the other thing, of course, was just when they were on a ice together, they were magic, but there would be these times where you would just see them talking to each other before a face-off, and you just realize that, like, Sidney Crosby's not the 6 foot that they list him as, and Mario Lemieux's a lot bigger than the 6'4" than they list him as. And like to this day, when you see pictures of it, you're like, wow, Mario's a giant. And like Sid's not a small guy, but compared to Mario. So those are the things I remember a lot from that season.
I know it's a different time and different situation, Rob, but like obviously Sidney Crosby's now in a situation where he's going into the 2-year deal he's on right now. Next year's the last year of that 2-year deal. I think we all expect him potentially to play beyond that. But given the fact that he's in his late 30s, and Mario, you saw towards the end of his career as far as covering the team was concerned, health-wise aside, do you notice any similarities, anything between the two of them? How are they different with these two guys? Like late in their careers, continuing to set records, continuing to set standards, but obviously doing it a different way.
Yeah, it's a great question, Josh. You know, Mario's body was broken down. I would say the last great Mario year was probably 2001-02, before the Olympics, before his like hip needed the surgery. I think that year he was leading the league in scoring until the Penguins basically traded everybody with like 15 games left. I've never seen a player as dominant this long in the NHL the way Sid has been. Gretzky and Mario could not score goals in their late 30s the way Sidney could. They still had the ability to see plays and set guys up. They were that much smarter than everybody. They had that much of a hockey IQ advantage even at that age. And in that stage of their career where they were limited with their mobility. But Sid isn't at all limited by mobility. And I actually think Sidney is more comfortable as a goal scorer now than he has been at any time in his career. I haven't had a chance to talk to him about this, but I suspect it's because where in the past he maybe felt the Penguins didn't need him to be a dominant goal scorer to win as much. He feels now that they do. And so I think he's more comfortable now. But I don't know. I think with Sid, we're just witnessing the continuation of a career in which everything we've seen, we hadn't seen before and may not see after. He was a completely unique player. He remains that player in terms of you don't see dominant point-producing centers play the way he does in tight quarters and down low and create offense like that. And I think because he keeps himself in such great shape, that style, Josh and Haley, I think that style really translates well to a later game career as opposed to what Mario's and Wayne's did when they weren't as great. They weren't as, the game got younger. I don't think Sid's been as affected by younger guys who come in as better skaters because he's still so good at skating, but he's also he's so good at drawing defenders or drawing other skaters into him and using their momentum and using his strength to create his own space. So I don't know that there is a comparable, except for the fact that, Mario's final years, sort of basically when he came back from the 3.5-year retirement, everywhere he went, there was this sense with the other team. It's like, wow, I'm playing against Mario Lemieux. And I'm sure you both see this being on the road. There's a generation of players now that are like, yeah, that's Sidney Crosby. Heck, Sid's playing with a few of them on his own team now. So.
Yeah. Isn't that the truth? Along with, you've mentioned like Sid, just the fact that he's still able to score goals, but just the type of game he's played for so long, his hockey IQ, it's been so impressive to see. But when it comes to goal scoring, I don't think there's anybody that seems to like goal scoring as much as Evgeny Malkin. So $1 million question, of course, this year, is he going to retire? Is he going to keep playing? Just curious your thoughts, Rob, as someone who I know is close to him, has gotten close to him over the years. What kind of legacy is he leaving behind once he finally does call it quits?
Look, I've known Evgeny a long time. We've had some of the best interviews I've ever done are with him. Look, I think his legacy is going to be and this is going to sound to people maybe a little bit weird, he's the greatest number 2 in hockey history, in my mind. And by that, I mean,
well said.
As a guy that could have been a number 1 in any situation, this is a guy that had the type of stuff to be a franchise centerpiece player. And he was in Pittsburgh, but he was just so comfortable being the yang to Sid's yin. And it's just, I don't think he gets enough credit for that, putting the ego aside and really saying like, look, even though I'm a number 1 center, I'm an MVP, I'm a 2-time scoring champion, I'm the first, Russian to win the Conn Smythe. I've won every individual award. He was always willing to take the number 2 assignment as the center, to go against, to be on the number 2 line, to not run his own power play, things like that. At a time when, let's face it, the Penguins, I always laugh when they talk about the Pittsburgh model, because the Pittsburgh model presumes that in a draft of a 4-year span, you're going to draft Marc-Andre Fleury, Evgeny Malkin, Sidney Crosby, Chris Letang, and Jordan Staal. And no, you're not. Not all of those guys will probably end up in the Hall of Fame. And how many times do you lose a draft lottery and end up with Evgeny Malkin? You don't. Imagine if the Penguins had lost the draft lottery in 2005. With all due respect to Bobby Ryan or Jack Johnson, they're not Sidney Crosby. The best thing that ever happened to the Penguins was losing that lottery, because not only did they get Malkin, but they had the most lottery balls to get Crosby. And the reason I say this is, from the minute Malkin stepped onto the ice in the NHL in 2007 or 2006, he and Crosby were like the 2 best centers in the league. So there was no Pittsburgh model, because that model just doesn't exist. I always go back to Gretzky and Messier, right? But Messier was not as breathtaking an offensive force as Malkin was. Certainly he became a legendary player, but when you're talking about like Gretzky and Messier is the only real comparable to a 1-2 center tandem to Crosby and Malkin, and those guys played together 10 years. Crosby and Malkin have played together 2 decades, and I would say for a decade and a half, because of those two, the Penguins had a legitimate Stanley Cup favorite going into every postseason. I think Evgeny Malkin's legacy is going to be as one of the most beloved athletes in Pittsburgh history.
Welcome back to Unobstructed Views, an alternate way to enjoy Penguins hockey. I'm Hannah Mears alongside Rob King. This evening, we've already talked to the mayor of Pittsburgh. We have talked to Spencer Horwitz, first baseman for the Pittsburgh Pirates. But let's talk some more hockey this period, specifically about 2 legends to have ever put on the black and gold, Mario Lemieux and Sidney Crosby. Rob, Crosby continues to hit milestone after milestone, passing Mario Lemieux in franchise points. I mean, the guy is incredible. He's been the one I've grown up really watching. I know you've got the privilege of seeing
and
both.
then we're starting the old jokes. Here we go.
I'm jealous though, Rob, because watching Mario in his prime and through, I'm jealous. But this has to be a privilege to have seen both and to watch what Crosby has done.
2 different players. By the way, I'm 7 months older than Mario. Right. But I remember watching him as a kid, and he was just, the talent level was just jaw-dropping. The ability to, and the great ones have it. Jack Nicklaus, birdieing 18 at the Masters on Saturday to get ready for Sunday. Mario, the big goal in Game 1 against Chicago to cap the comeback. Sid with the golden goal. I mean, the great ones have a way of performing when it's most important. Mario Lemieux, I think, is I don't mean this in a bad. I mean, he's the most talented player I've ever seen in hockey in my life, and in his prime, just unrivaled. And then you look at Sidney Crosby, and Sidney just does everything on the ice extremely well. And when he came up, was he going to win face-offs? What's the defense going to look like? You look up now, he's winning face-offs. He's playing great defense. I can never remember a player aging as well as Sidney Crosby. And again, that sounds like I'm damning him with faint praise. I don't mean to do that. It's incredible the high level he can still maintain him. He's unbelievable the way he thinks the game and his compete level. 2 different types of players, but both super competitive and both absolute winners.
And one that we are just watching, every single night, taking in every single thing that he's doing on the ice, in Sidney Crosby on the ice now with the Pittsburgh Penguins. But you mentioned, Rob, you said it so eloquently, as you always do, and you really hit the nail on the head with every attribute that you had mentioned about both him and Mario Lemieux. But someone who knows what it's like to be on the ice with Sidney Crosby, someone who knows what it's like to be his teammate in the locker room, is a guy from the 2016 Pittsburgh Penguins, who we are privileged to be joined by now, and Mr. Beau Bennett. Welcome to the show, Beau.
Good to be here. Thanks for having me, guys.
No, thank you for being here. First and foremost, where are you at? What are you doing? Where are you at right now? What's going on in your life?
I'm in LA right now. I'm actually watching the game, trying to get a little bit well-versed with the players. I haven't watched too much this year, so it was a good first period, and Sid being Sid with the sick pass. So
yeah.
Columbus only had 4 shots on goal in the first period as well, which is the 5th time the Pittsburgh Penguins have done that to a team this season, 4 or fewer shots on goal. So defense looking good for the Pens as well. But Beau, you don't need to catch up when it comes to Sidney Crosby, how he's doing, who he is. So curious to know your thoughts on just first and foremost, what it's like to watch him perform the way he is now.
Honestly, it's amazing because I know how bad I feel at 34, and he's still point per game, and he's still one of the top players in the league, and the league's got only faster and more skilled. And I'm excited to watch him at the Olympics because it seems like whenever he's with the best players, he still rises up and he is the best player. So I mean, obviously Connor David's amazing, Nathan McKinnon, these guys, but Sid to me, just knowing and being around him and being like his teammate, he's elite in all aspects.
How did you talked about him, rising the level around? How did he help your game when you're on the ice with him? Or was it hard to play with him? Because the consensus has been around Pittsburgh after someone made a comment last year, it's really hard to play with Sidney Crosby on the ice.
I actually just was talking to my dad about this, and I wish I would have been healthier to kind of put my best foot forward. But like a guy like Jake Gensel, like I don't think people realize, or even like Brian Russ, Chris Kunitz back when I played. It's really hard to play with great players because you have to be okay with not having the puck as much, and you probably were the best player growing up and you always had the puck, and now you have to learn that there's levels to this, and you're playing with the greatest player in the game. And I was talking about Jake Gensel, and like I don't really know Jake. He was after me, and he could play with any superstar and do well, and you've seen it throughout his career, and it's pretty amazing. And I played, I think, more with Gino than I did with Sid, but I was lucky to play with both of them, to be honest.
A lot of times, Beau, guys that move up, and this wasn't the case with you, but guys that move up from the fourth line, the instant and play some shifts with a Sidney Crosby, for example. The instant reaction is, oh, that's great, how fortunate you are. And they're like, hey, man, I want to play the way I play, which is dump the puck in, right? But they don't want that. So if I dump the puck in, I make my center mad. If I don't dump the puck in, I make my coach mad. So it's not always easy.
Yeah, towing that line because their positions carved out. Like there's nothing really they can do where it's gonna obstruct their ice time that's why even Wayne Gretzky coaching, I don't think he could really resonate with players because he's the great one, and it's how do I describe how to be so great when I don't think he was dumping the puck in or trying to see the game from a third, fourth line perspective. But the guys who hound pucks, work hard, and Sid's best ability is his work ethic. He's of all the things that I see, that's why guys who work hard have always succeeded. Brian Russ, Pascal Dupuis, Chris Kunitz. I think he just wants the same work ethic. I think he knows that he's a little bit beyond in skill level most of the time, almost all the time. And I think he just wants people to work hard, and that's why he always does well with those types of players.
I understand. I've heard he doesn't really like, people praise the grinder image. I don't think he wants to necessarily be perceived that way. But there is something to that, the notion that about the only superstar I can think of that to me in my memory bank would be maybe Brian Trottier playing that sort of hard, physical, tough style while also blending the incredible skill. But I think if Sid wanted to, he could be the best third-line player in hockey when he was 50. You know what I mean? He has, and a lot of superstars don't have that. When they lose the talent, it's gone. Their game is gone.
Yeah, I think of Steve Yzerman in terms of, there's a reason why he's been a point-per-game clip for 20 seasons or whatever it is. It's because his game is timeless. He doesn't need that fresh young legs. He can produce. That's why it translates to the postseason as well. It's pretty amazing because it always seems when the game gets tougher, his game gets better because he's been prepping that way his whole career and his whole life, and it's almost like in the Olympics, I'm sure he's going to be one of the best players out there because he's the guy that rises up to those occasions.
Yeah, Yzerman, that's good. Another good one. Yeah, for sure.
He's going to be an analyst, I think, on one of our shows. We're going to have to keep Beau Bennett around here. Pens didn't get to convert on this power play either, but their power plays look really good as of late, converting 3 for 4 against the Flyers the other night. I mean, Beau, when you talk about looking at the Penguins right now, currently, and what they've been doing, what's impressed you most about the team that they've put together this year? Looks a little bit different. Coaching changes, everything. What's been your impression?
I think they're getting a lot of contributions from players that they just brought in. Mantha, they just traded for Chinnikov. Rust has been consistent his whole career. And then like a young guy like Kendall getting his chance and he's been producing. But, like the three constants, the three-headed monster of Gino and Sid and Letang, I think like I give a lot of respect to Letang because he's been criminally underrated throughout his career.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because he's with those guys. But in my generation, he's a top 5 defenseman. And over the course of my entire life of even knowing pro hockey and being around it and knowing the guys. And I think he's someone I looked up to in terms of like, he took a back seat, but he still comes to work every day. And he's one of my favorite teammates too.
What do you, as you watch their game, I mean, it's amazing because you were there right in their prime. It's amazing to me that these guys, the 3 guys, we're talking about Crosby, Malkin, and Letang, can still play at such a high level, Beau. It's remarkable to me.
Yeah, like when I was there, they were in their prime, and I was learning. I was just a California kid trying to like make my way and kind of learn the steps of pro hockey. I didn't really have an example. My parents are 2 of the hardest working people, but they didn't play pro sports, so trying to just navigate like how I'm supposed to eat, how I'm supposed to work out and whatnot. And you think you're this hot shot coming in terms of like, I'm pretty skilled. I've been comparing myself to other people, and then you go on the ice with Gino, and Gino was like an absolute beast in his heyday, and he still is. But like being 6'4" with those hands and that skill set, it's pretty crazy how good he is. But you just realize like there is levels of, I thought I was skilled, and they're so much more skilled than me that all you can do is not compare yourself, just try to be the best version of yourself. And that's the reason why they still produce, is because they were the best then, and they're still really good now, if not some of the best players in the league.
Well, to put a stat to all of this, Evgeny Malkin with his assist tonight, it's his 16th season now with 25 or more assists. So pretty impressive to know what he's done. And he was hurt for a little bit this season as well. So to still accomplish these things, incredible.
Yeah, their longevity, the way they've kind of worked around being superstars on the same team, it's admirable. I don't know if their record of being 3 guys that have played the most amount of seasons together will ever be broken, just because of how many people change teams and cities, and then sometimes you have egos in the locker room, and they've always squashed those egos for the betterment of the team.
Beau. One second, we'll be right back.
Okay.
Wait, Derek, I didn't hear you.
Here, we don't just watch the Penguins. We live every tipped puck.
Unbelievable.
Every battle.
Give me more of this.
Every new prospect.
This is the glimpse of the future.
Everything you love about the Pens, we do too.
I'm down here between the benches.
You know what that means, Pens fans?
Cheers for that.
The fuck did they score? We manifested it.
Stream the Penguins all season long on SNP 360.
No one gets you ready for puck drop like Penguins Face Off Live. Pre-game insights, analysis, and a word straight from the coach. Penguins Face Off Live before every game on Sportsnet Pittsburgh. Presented by Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Welcome back to Unobstructed Views. Beau Bennett, our guest this evening, member of that 2016 Pens team, played a lot with Evgeny Malkin. And right before we went to break, Beau, you had just been kind of touching on the 3-headed monster here in Pittsburgh, the guys who are in their 20th season playing here. I mean, the longest tenured trio in professional sports, and Chris Letang, Evgeny Malkin, and Sidney Crosby. And we'd love to hear more on what you're thinking about just how long they've been together, how well they've been playing, and to still be doing it at this level.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. It's so admirable to be so good at a position and work your whole life to get to a certain point, and they're all as good as each other in different aspects. And they've just kind of navigated how to have their arguments, their disagreements, have their successes, and that's why they've made it work. I mean, I'm sure they call each other some of their best friends, but it's also like it's such a working relationship where like Letang sees the game different than the other two, and I'm sure Gino sees the game different than Sid. But hockey's the ultimate team sport. You need everyone. That's why the parity in this game is insane. The Eastern Conference separated first place to last place, 15 points. You need more than just the top guy, and it takes a farm, and they're always at the helm of it.
It's so funny you say that, because going back to and Hannah at the beginning of this conversation, Beau called me old, if you recall, and but I remember those early 90s. I remember those early 90s Penguins teams, and a lot of people will say, hey, that 92-93 Penguins team was the best they ever had. They had the incredible winning streak at the end of the season, loaded with talent. And those guys, those third or fourth line guys who were no longer there in that 92-93 team that didn't win the cup, they were upset in the second round of the playoffs. People say, that was the greatest team of all time. And those guys say, yeah, except for the fact that they didn't win the cup, right? Because they didn't maybe have the same third or fourth line makeup or the same fifth, sixth defenseman. I mean, it takes everybody to win, and that's been something that we've seen with the Penguins over these guys' career too. You have to have the complete roster to be able to win a championship.
100%. It goes beyond the roster, because there's so much. The Penguins organization I've played in other organizations. They were great too, but the Penguins organization, from the chef, what we're eating, the strength and conditioning coach. I mean, I dealt with mostly the doctors, so I was getting some top-notch work from them. But I mean, it even from marketing, like there's a reason why people come to the games, why people are invested in us, and it makes it fun to be a Pittsburgh Penguin, and it takes a village. And I was very proud and honored to be a part of the organization for those 4 years, and I wish I would have had a little bit better ROI for being drafted so high, but it was a great experience nonetheless.
What do you think of the fans here? Because I mean, the fans for the Steelers, and we see when the Pirates get it going, PNC Park is sold out, and obviously the Penguins had the sellout streak, and to be in that arena, for all those years doing the pre and post game show, I know that for me it was just an absolute thrill. What is it like? Oh boy. Columbus just tied it up.
Marchenko, very underrated player.
Oh, good to see. Continuing the analysis, right in stride.
Give it to
Beau
us.
Bennett, analyst.
Tell us what you know.
So, Beau, what was it like playing? Well, first of all, talk us through this goal here. What'd you see?
Just a little. I mean, you got to control the blue lines. When there's a turnover around the blue lines, it's hard to defend because you're not in your set position. Tough on the goalies. Comes so quick. I mean, that shot's perfect. It's kind of a muffed play, and hopefully they can get it back soon.
So what do you think of the fans in Pittsburgh? I mean, they always struck me as great fans. What was it like playing in front of these fans?
And I might be biased in this just because it was my first taste of professional anything, and I was never around it at a young age. But Pittsburgh is a top 3 sports city, in my opinion. I love how all of the colors are coordinated. If you usually are invested in all 3 teams, the players support the other teams that are playing. We would go to Steelers games. We would go to the Pirates games. And on top of it, the fans are very, they'll be there if you're in a cold streak or if you're on a hot streak, and they're always very supportive. They show up to practices. They're waiting outside for games. They're there to support you, and they deserve the championships they've got over the years.
I do think that's one unique thing the Penguins do, is that fans can come to practice. And I know when I was working there, it was so cool to see so many young fans show up and put on their jerseys, skip a day at school maybe, and be right up against the glass. That had to have been really cool for you as professional athletes too, to see that support every day, like you were saying.
Yeah, you know what? It kind of gears you up to learning how to play in front of people, even if it's on a practice level. You want to there's nothing to prepare for really having someone watching you to the level of, if you mess up, they're going to get on you. But as they should, they're paying fans and they care about their team. They want to win just like we want to win. And I think them coming to practice, they get to see a little bit more of the fun and goofy side that we have as players. And then sometimes you get to see the side of, like, say, an enforcer where he can, like, kind of show his skill level a little bit more. And they can kind of see the scope of how good the players are, even the players that are at the next level considered like grinders.
You know, in baseball, they certainly, it's such a long season, they have to come up with ways to make it fun. But I know just going to like morning skates or practices and seeing at the end, they might have a shootout drill, and Marc-Andre Fleury would stand there with his back to the shooter to the last minute. Just fun stuff. You know, was there fun stuff? Were there teammates that helped you break the ice and guys that were good teammates because they did that? Maybe they were the guy that kept things loose or came up with a funny game to play or a joke, a prank to pull on somebody.
I mean, that's the best example is Fleury's. I mean, he's widely regarded as one of the best players that's ever been in the game. And you ask anyone who's played with him, they go, oh, he's a top 5 teammate. And he just made, like, I think that the Penguins are so fortunate to have him, not only as a player, but as a person. He was one of the best people I've ever met. Like, outside of hockey, take hockey away from it, he's just a good guy. And, you know, like, I had Paul Martin, who I really enjoyed, Robert Bortuzzo, James Neal, these guys that like I know a side of them that the fans don't know, and vice versa. So it's fun to kind of peel back and get away from hockey, let your hair down, maybe go grab some beers or have some wine. And everyone has a story before they get to this level, and it's kind of nice to learn about people on that side of things.
Bo, we'd love to hear more about you before this side of hockey as well, but I know we're going to be in another break zone here shortly. Just wanted to pivot a little bit off of, or I guess go off of what you just said, though, the pranks, because what was your first experience with a prank at the Penguins?
So I remember this vividly. This is my rookie year. We're playing Ottawa in the playoffs. I played, I think, game 4. And I was healthy scratch for most of that series. But we were at a team dinner, and I play the piano. So I think Dupuis was like, you got to go play a song. And, you know, I was good with the whole rookie thing. I enjoyed it. I think I just got cold feet, and I was like, I can't. Like, sometimes when you're, especially with piano, and you get a little bit jittery, like, I'm going to mess up. But I refused. So the next morning when I was leaving the rink, I think I was healthy scratch for game 4 or something. I went to go put on my suit, and all my pockets were sewn shut. So I couldn't put my hands in my pockets. I couldn't put my wallet in my pockets. So they were all sewn shut. But it's all in good fun, you know. Like I love that stuff. It's almost like it's
all in good fun. It's all in good fun. We want to finish that story when we come back. We have to go to break really quick. More Beau Bennett, more Pittsburgh Penguins hockey when we come back.
Inside Penguins Hockey is back.
Let's go eat sushi.
For an all-new season.
And now he's your best friend.
Yeah.
Getting a line in the water is always a joy for me.
Inside Penguins Hockey. New episodes every month on Sportsnet Pittsburgh. Presented by UPMC Health Plan. The road to puck drop begins on Penguins Tonight. A first look at the latest game news, stories from around the league, and so much more. Penguins Tonight, 1 hour before every game on Sportsnet Pittsburgh. Presented by Morgan & Morgan.
But I know that that's what it sounds like. Beau Bennett playing the
Thumping
piano.
the ivory
right?
there. I like it.
Yeah, we're used
Good
to
stuff.
seeing him in skates, but I like to see this other side of him here, playing the piano. Beau, I know there's got to be a story behind this too. I know you said the rookie pranks, everything. They were making you try to play the piano. First of all, do you remember what you were playing on that piano?
Probably something like One Republic, like
Okay.
Apologize or something. It's my go-to when I need to play like a long, drawn-out song, but probably something like that.
Our producer's saying maybe Bon Jovi. Do you think that was Bon Jovi?
It could have been
Little rock and roll?
Van Halen. Van Halen right
Van
now.
Halen,
we're
told. Van Halen. All right.
There it is. Why piano though? I heard you weren't allowed to play hockey until you had to play the piano to play hockey. What's the story behind that?
I think it was my parents' just way of getting us a little bit more well-versed in other things outside of sports. And, you know, it didn't have to be piano. It could be anything. My dad played the drums. So basically, if you wanted to play hockey, it's such a financial obligation for parents and taking it on. And they wanted us to just kind of get a little bit cultured in the arts. And I chose piano. My older brother chose guitar. My little brother jumped around. He just couldn't find his niche. And then my little sister chose piano as well.
You've got a whole band over there in the Bennett house. Do you guys ever play together? Is this something you do?
It would be my dad's dream for us to learn a song together because my sister sings, but a couple years ago we bought him a full drum set, so whenever he needs to blow off some steam, he's out in our pool house playing the drums.
Do you still play?
I still play, yeah, I still play.
It's fun. I mean, it is a stress releaser.
I am really sad that I gave up piano in kindergarten when my aunt tried to teach me and I got frustrated because it wasn't coming easy. And I was like, I'm done, I'm not doing it. I probably should have gone to classes instead of maybe a family member in hindsight because it was easier to say no to them. But I think that's such an awesome skill to have. But what came easier to you then? Like playing piano, picking it up, or playing hockey?
Hockey for sure. Hockey was very enjoyable, you know, because as you're learning, you're making your way up in your skill set. It's actually fun to learn new skills. Where piano is like it only becomes fun once you start to really learn it and understand how hard it is to play an instrument. But just like with hockey, like when I would go watch the older players, like when I was 12, watch like the 16-year-olds, I'm like, this is what I want to get to, even before the NHL. Whereas when I go watch live music, I go to a concert, I'm like, it invigorates you in terms of like, I want to do that. I want to learn a song. I think it looks fun to them, especially for musicians. Everyone there loves you. You're not having like fans from the other teams saying that they hate you. So
everyone that paid to be there loves you.
I'll also say this, other than golf, I can't think of a sport you're getting better at as you approach 40. You know what I mean? I think you can still get better at golf. You can still get better at the piano.
You can. I can still pick it up, I think.
True.
I think that's something I need to do. Actually, I need to learn Spanish before baseball season starts. I've got a month. Been working on that. Harder to learn do you speak another language?
I took Spanish for, I think, 10 straight years in like grade school and into college, and I can confidently say I don't remember one thing.
Yeah.
So, but I was good at it when I had to know it. So
right, when you're surrounded by
You'd
it
probably
the whole
pick
time.
it back up. You'd probably pick it back up.
I would think so.
Yeah.
But Beau, you keep saying it's something you've mentioned a couple of times here is that you grew up in California. You're like, well, we didn't have this, we didn't see this. What was it like for you growing up in California? What was the hockey world like? Why was this a sport you gravitated towards if you didn't really have it as the example out there for you?
I think, I grew up right down the street from the Great Western Forum when the Kings used to play there. They switched to Staples Center in the, I think, early 2000s, late 90s. But we would play roller hockey, and Gretzky got traded to the Kings, kind of made it popularized a little bit in ice hockey. The Kings would offer, if you play in this roller tournament out in the parking lot of their games, you can get a ticket to the game. So that's how we started we started in roller hockey, and then we started to get understanding that, well, ice is where you can kind of make a living and or kind of progress in the sport. And I like both. I still love roller hockey. I just went and coached my sister's pro roller hockey team this summer at State Wars, and they won the gold medal. So she actually has a tournament this weekend, and it's fun. It's fun to get roller hockey is so much more laid back in terms it's 4-on-4. There's no offsides. There's no icing. It's no hitting. So it's very it's like a leisure sport compared to like ice hockey is very, very aggressive and gung ho. But I like both for different reasons.
How did you get into coaching roller hockey? How did your sister get into the pro league there? How's that brother-sister dynamic?
It's good, you know, like there's always some tough love, and she respects my opinion, and I think it's always good. You have to, as a guy, like the women's hockey game's a little bit different in terms of like how they're moving the puck and, you know, the fundamentals of what makes them successful compared to what makes, say, Sidney Crosby successful. I can't tell her to do what he's doing because I can't even do it. So it's pretty cool to see. They have great camaraderie, and it's fun to be a part of. And that was my first coaching experience. We went 6-0. We won the championship, and I think I might be done
then.
now.
Yeah, you can retire happy.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Bob, you know, you mentioned about Wayne Gretzky, and it made me wonder. So, there were one, maybe two rinks in all of Pittsburgh until Mario came along. You know, the Penguins had struggled. They'd had some moments, but they basically struggled until he came along. And he really revolutionized hockey. I mean, all the rinks in town now, they aren't here if Mario's not there. Did Wayne Gretzky have a similar effect in LA, do you think?
Yeah, 100%. Even the roller rink is called, when I was growing up, is called Gretzky Inline. So I think he was creating this buzz about the sport. He made it cool to go to Kings games. And I grew up a Kings fan. I was a Ray Ferraro fan, and you know, it was cool to see them. It's weird because you become pro, and now like I'm a fan of being on the Penguins, and you stop being a fan of
Give us
the
1 second,
Kings
Bo. We're going to
because-
finish that thought when
Yeah.
we come back here on Unobstructed Views.
Here, we don't just watch the Penguins. We live every tipped puck.
Unbelievable.
Every battle.
Give me more of this.
Every new prospect.
This is a glimpse of the future.
Everything you love about the Pens, we do too.
I'm down here between the benches.
You know what that means, Pens fans?
Cheers for that.
The fuck did they score? We manifested it.
Stream the Penguins all season long on SNP 360.
No one gets you ready for puck drop like Penguins Face Off Live. Pre-game insights, analysis, and a word straight from the coach. Penguins Face Off Live before every game on Sportsnet Pittsburgh. Presented by Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Welcome back to Unobstructed Views. I'm Hannah Mears alongside Rob King. And of course, we're joined by Beau Bennett, who has made a staple in the city of Pittsburgh himself for sure. But right before the break, he was cut off telling us awesome stuff about Wayne Gretzky leaving his mark in LA and how he helped grow hockey and how that influenced you. So I'd love to finish hearing your thoughts just about how Gretzky influenced the city of LA when you were in California and growing up.
Yeah, I think it's great to recognize the greats before you. That if it wasn't for him coming to LA, I don't even know if my parents ever even know what hockey is and if it's cool or if it's something we should try. So, you know, just like Mario Lemieux is he's always been so nice and cordial to me, and his aura about him, probably just people looking up to him, put people in hockey and created these people in Pittsburgh growing up, giving the opportunity to even follow in their footsteps, and I think that Gretzky did that for me.
All right, are you gonna bring it up? Cliff Wynkoop, come on.
You got to bring it up, Rob.
Okay, so
we've
Cliff,
got to pick your.
we're talking about pranks. We just heard this story during the break. I don't remember. I can't believe I don't remember the story. But Cliff Wynkoop, who's in the studio with us, one of our cameramen, mic'd you up for practice. Dan Potash ready to log that thing and put together a great story on Beau Bennett mic'd up in practice. And Beau never said a word on purpose. Is that a true story, Beau?
Because you're full of words tonight.
You don't realize how hard it is to not say a word during practice. And I went one straight hour of just going, yeah, putting my stick up and like calling for passes that way. And I think there was a little but that was always an issue with me is I was trying to be like myself, but also like you have to be a pro. And I didn't realize like people were there to mic me up and it was a whole thing and they're on the clock. And I just came in and I just was kind of doing like pulling a prank back towards you guys. So that was all good fun. And I learned my lesson, I think.
I love it. As a reporter who would have had to like been banking on that sound, I would have been furious. But I feel like we would have had to find a way. I wonder if Potash all these years later and Cliff, like you guys got to cook something up if we ever see Beau. Just watch your back, Beau Bennett.
I got to tell you too, the whole mic'd up thing. I mean, you've got to try to be yourself, and I guess try to forget the mic is on you at some point, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think when you've got a mic on, right?
Yeah, I think I was being authentic in terms of like, I like to do certain things to entertain myself, which is probably not always the smartest thing. Like some practices I would try to only shoot where I wouldn't lift the puck, so on the ground the whole time. So there's just little games I would play within the game because, that's another thing that I really admire about the Sid, the Gino, the Letangs of the world. Like they're still doing it. They're still practicing. They're still having fun with it. And I was trying to make everything so much more fun for the monotonous like dog days of a professional season. And sometimes to my detriment, sometimes not, but it was all in good fun.
Beau, do you know what would have been amazing? Would have been to actually hear you say that at practice when you were mic'd up, just to tell us what was going on in your head that day. But they said they turned it into a silent movie, so I guess there was some creative,
very smart. Very good.
Some creative
Go a little black and white on it.
Did he ever submit it for an Emmy? I think it deserves one because honestly, though, because truthfully, when you go to practice, most of the time, no matter what age you're playing a sport at, you want to talk to your teammates. You're all waiting in line for a drill. I can imagine it was probably harder for you to stay silent than not.
It was very difficult, and I'm not like a super talkative person. I'm usually chill, but I like being in a good mood. I like, if someone was down, or I like trying to put them in a good mood and just be happy and it's infectious when you're smiling and you're having fun, and to not make a noise for an hour was very difficult for me.
All right, well, we'll have to pull that footage at some point and watch that silent movie again. But something that I think we could all watch over and over and over again is when the Penguins won the Cup in 2016. Beau, I know there might be a sour taste in your mouth a little bit because I hear your name's not actually on the Cup, but we still consider you a Stanley Cup champion here in Pittsburgh. So take me back. What were your thoughts surrounding all of that, knowing all of the ins and outs?
Well, I didn't know it wasn't going to be on there, but you see the guys' names that were on there, and it's like it makes sense. Kevin Porter played 41 games, so he met the criteria. I mean, if I would have met the criteria, it would have been on there. There's only they just scored.
Oh man.
Good Branson. He's a good guy, really good guy. Went to Turks and Caicos with him.
The years blend together for me. Was he here when you were here?
No, he wasn't. But
credit for that. He was here.
Heinen tipped it in.
Yeah. Heinen with Good Branson with a shot, I think, from the point. Was Good Branson here when you were here, Beau?
He was not. He was on, I think, Calgary back then.
Okay.
Or I forget. But
when you have more years under your belt, like I do, they jumble together, Hannah.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead, Beau. I'm sorry.
In case they get jumbled together, talking about the guys in the Cup.
Yeah, so, I didn't know it was going to be on there. When I saw it, it's like, okay, it makes sense. I was very injured at the time, and, trying to navigate that. You're really happy for the guy. You're just happy to be a part of it. It's not bittersweet. You just you wish you could be out there contributing, but who knows? If I'm out there contributing, maybe I screw something up, or whatever was worked well, and they did it 2 years in a row. So there's no... Pittsburgh treated me well. They gave me an opportunity. They were always great to me, and I'll never hold a grudge towards them. And I'm happy to just be a part of the organization and say that I played there.
You still got to hoist the Cup on the ice, as we just saw. Did you still get to have your day with the Cup as well? And what did you do when you had your day?
I was the first one to have the day with the Cup.
How does that happen? You don't get your name on it, but you get to be the first in line.
I think they just go geographically down the line. So I was Southern California, and then they ended in somewhere in Russia for Gino. But it was great. we got the cup, and for California, the Kings had won in 2012 and 2014, and it was interesting because they took it. They didn't really spend too much time showing, like, bringing it around the rinks. And I mean, I grew up playing hockey at the Kings practice rink, so we did like a showing there for all the fans who maybe didn't get to see it when the Kings won it. And then we took it to the beach, played a big volleyball tournament for whoever won it, got to hoist it, and then took it to our local watering hole, Shellbacks, and we stayed there until at the end of the day, you're kind of excited to get rid of it because you're lifting it thing like 400 times. It's like my shoulder. I'm coming off a bad shoulder injury.
What a terrible problem to have, Beau.
Yeah. That's a first world problem for sure.
Yeah, I would say so. Well, it was very cool for Pittsburgh at that time. I know in 2016, I was just a senior in high school, so it was really cool for that period of my life. You know, really fun. We got to drive down and watch outside of PPG Paints Arena on the big screen, you know, sitting in the parking lots with everybody. That was the place to watch the game. So you guys definitely left a mark for all of the young Pittsburgh fans watching too.
And I think that's
the city was so fun at that time.
That's what's so fun about it. Like the Mario screen, you know, outside everybody watching it, you know, and that now all of a sudden there's an HBK line and just the things that happen organically, Beau, over that run. We had a baseball player, Spencer Horwitz, on the first hour, and he said, there's nothing like, he's a hockey fan, nothing like the hockey playoffs. And there really kind of isn't. It's amazing what happens and you know, the camaraderie, just the grind. It's an amazing thing to behold.
Yeah, it's truly like if you get into the playoffs in hockey, I think more than any other sport, you truly have a great chance. In 2012, the Kings snuck in like in the last 2 days to get into the playoffs, and they went 16-4. They went up 3-0 in every series. It's like sometimes it's just about clicking at the right time, finding the perfect, and you know, for that specific instance with the Penguins, everyone's clicking. You know, the HPK line, you have this fourth line with Hunackle, and he's and Eric Fair, and all these guys are really contributing. You know, Jeff Sackhoff played game one, and like we kind of rallied around that, calling him Mr. Game One, and it was just fun. There were so many different personalities, and I'm glad all the guys who won it, most of them wanted it again, but it was great to be a part of.
It was great to watch you here in Pittsburgh, Beau, and it's been really great to have you here in the second period of this game. Thank you so much for catching up. I'm sure Pittsburgh fans at home were ecstatic to see a familiar face get to catch up with you and all that you're doing. Thank you so much for joining us. Best of luck in all your endeavors coming up short. And I'll let Rob say goodbye in a second, but just to let you know, you're hired in case you're wondering.
Thanks, Beau.
Hey, thank you guys so much. You know, I miss Pittsburgh, and I thank them for all the support over the years, and thank you guys so much.
Well, Pittsburgh misses you, so stop back to Sportsnet Studios soon. Anytime you want. Again, you're hired, and it's seriously been a pleasure. It's been great to catch up with you. You were an awesome guest. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Have a great night.
Have a great night. Thank you. What a gem, Rob King.
Oh,
we've
lots
had,
of fun.
Look at this. There's the silent movie over there. Hey, we have more fun stories like that and so much more hockey coming up next. Stay with us on Sportsnet Pittsburgh Plus and S&P 360.
You know, we touched on Ben Kindle, of course, a #1 selection by the Penguins back in June. Another one in that first round, Bill Zonin. And I know that he's been slowed by injury, and I don't know if slow is the right description because he's so fast, I don't even know if injuries can really slow him down. But the fact that he's missed some time, what are your thoughts about what he can do when he is 100% healthy?
Yeah, Dan, I'm really bummed that Pittsburgh didn't get a good taste of Bill Zonin in the fall, because I think he's a player that's going to endear himself to this city. And if you think about some of the guys that have come through that have become fan favorites, the people that love, that people love to watch, going all the way back to Gary Roberts, Patrick Hornquist, right? They're all Bill Zonin type players. You know, he's the kind of guy that the coach can confidently deploy no matter what the circumstance is, because you know there's going to be a wave of momentum that comes your way after he hits the ice. It's very relentless on the forecheck. You know, I've thrown the Hornquist comparison around. I think Hornquist is Kunitz is another good one, you know, pulling from Penguins of past. Guys that are tenacious on the forecheck and annoy defensemen all night long, whether that's crashing and banging in the boards, getting in front of the net. the great thing about Bill Zonner is that he's got this offensive upside that you saw blossom last season, where he developed into a very lethal shooter and a guy who can do a little bit of dangling in the neutral zone to create himself some time and space heading into the offensive zone. Obviously, again, slowed down this year by the injury, but scored in his first game back, had 2 points, seems to be on a roll and not missing a beat as he returns the lineup. But I think this is somebody that as time wears on and you see him again next fall as he comes through for prospect camp and the preseason festivities, when he has his health, I think Pittsburgh will really, really love to watch Bill Zonner play the game. It's a crash and bang style, high energy, high speed, mixing it up on the forecheck, and just somebody that's very easy to root for.
And I think, Jesse, because he was the first rounder, even with the injuries, a lot of people are familiar with the name, at least in Penguins land, because they hear him. But you go a little deeper in some of these picks recently. One guy that I've seen you write about and you put some videos out about, which, by the way, you do an unbelievable job with the coverage of these prospects online. Like it's yeoman's work for people that don't get to see them all that often, and you make them very visible to a lot of people. And one guy who has certainly caught my eye that you cover a lot is Ryan Miller. And he's had a terrific year, 5th round pick for the Penguins in this prospect heavy edition draft that just happened this past June. Just kind of give us a synopsis of who this kid is. And is he potentially one of these? We've seen them throughout the years. I mean, Wes Clark has made a name for himself doing this a couple times. Is this one of these deep in the draft kind of finds potentially for the Penguins?
Yeah, Josh, I think so. I had a lot of fun putting the video together on Ryan Miller, and I caught him when he was in the middle of a 19-game point streak that ended up extending even longer than that. But I think the biggest thing I could say is that Portland felt confident at his age to make him captain this year, which you don't often see in somebody's draft +1 season. But when you watch the way he interacts with his team, his behavior on the ice, and then just his approach to the game, his work ethic, it's very easy to see why they made that decision. This is a player who's a lot of fun to watch. He is dogged in all 3 zones. I think there are just certain players, Josh, that you watch and you say, despite this player's age, I can already see pro habits, right? I can already see things that place this player a step or two ahead of some of his peers, and the habits they have in the defensive zone, the investment they have in certain behaviors on the ice, and some of the less glamorous jobs that don't always catch the spotlight. That's Ryan Miller's game. And I think he's added a touch of confidence to his offense this year. You're seeing a little bit more from him in the dangle department, some niftiness with the hands, toe dragging, right? Spinoramas. I think, that sense of feeling it has been on display. But this is a player with, for me, pro potential, and screams to me as a guy that at the very least, Josh, is going to be a real impact player in someone's bottom 6. I think, there's always that potential there that the offense has grown. We've seen it grow this year. But when you watch his approach to the game, relentless defensively, engaged in his own end, stripping pucks, creating offense from his defensive behaviors. And then just on the forecheck, he's, not the biggest guy on the ice, but he loves to skate right through people. There's a real no-nonsense approach to how he likes to carry the puck in. Like I said, he's added some flair to that this year, but more often than not, he's just going to bowl somebody over. He's not the biggest guy in the world, but he's built tough and is a difficult a person to handle on offense as a result. So super strong. Again, when you hear about him from his coaches, great habits in the gym, right? These Wes Clark picks, the first word out of a lot of these coaches' mouth is dedicated to the game, student of the game. They love to be around the game. And it seems like Dubas and Clark are really investing a lot in players that love hockey. And sometimes love the less glamorous aspects of hockey, like blocking shots and getting dirty in the corners and, taking an elbow here or there. So Ryan Miller fits that bill. And I think, there's a prospect that, we're hopefully going to, see hit the ice again here soon in Tanner Howe. I think Ryan Miller and Tanner Howe are remarkably similar players. And the difference is I think Tanner Howe has that edge, that Marchand-like edge where he's constantly goading, right? His mouth's running a lot. Ryan Miller is more of an action speaker, where he'll answer by catching you in the corner and hitting you clean. But they're remarkably similar players. Just that pro style, no nonsense approach, super responsible in all 3 zones, and I think you're starting to see a lot of that from this general manager and his staff.
Jesse, let's stay with the 5th round, but go back a couple years, and I want to reference Zam Plant, who has really gotten up to a great start this year. What has sparked the ability or the opportunity for him to kind of get going? Not quite the numbers that Will Horkoff is putting up, but still enough to open your eyes.
Honestly, his brother. So he's playing with his brother, Max, who's a Detroit Red Wings prospect. And watching the two of them from Minnesota Duluth is just a lot of fun. It is just a lot of fun. There is a natural chemistry between them, and you can tell that they've been playing hockey together since they were 5 years old. They have their own bloodlines, right, that they report through. But they, at one point, were number 1 and number 2 in college hockey scoring this season, heading into the month of November, and have really taken a big lift for that Minnesota Duluth team, who was young last year, went through their struggles, but the Plant brothers have been phenomenal. And I think that Max has been a little bit more of the puck hunter, and some of the mixing it up on the forecheck, puck distribution, whereas Zam's been, again, much like Horkoff, right, a great finisher, and he's obviously adept at setting his brother up too. He's very good at finding the two of them. They find each other quite a bit on the ice. I did a piece in Elite Prospects, which just, it's one of those things where people often struggle to define chemistry in hockey, but when you watch the two of them play, they rarely look at each other. They're just making these no-look behind-the-back passes. There's no yelling involved. It's just this innate sense of where's my brother going to be. So it's been a lot of fun, and I think that the first few years there were, again, that was a really young team who took their lumps upon Plant's arrival, through present day when they've turned it around. But he's earned this. And I know his stats maybe weren't as glorious in the early years of his development, but the circumstances around him weren't great. And I think that team's grown together now. They've gelled, they've added pieces, and you're starting to see the fruits of that now. So that's a player that a little bit more, as far as the pro game is concerned, you're looking at a little bit of a quicker ROI since he has been drafted now for a couple years. But I expect him to be a player that could potentially be impactful to Wilkes-Barre Scranton as soon as his journey in college is over.
Well, Jesse, those are some, I don't want to say buzz names, but I think there's some of the more popular names in Penguin prospect land. But like we said, you're all over this from top to bottom. Before we let you go, are there any other names Penguins fans should be paying attention to that are in the pipeline that maybe aren't front of mind right now or getting the most press clippings, but are making some noise and some headway as far as their development is concerned?
Yeah, Josh, I always have time to talk about Quinn Beauchene, who is the defenseman that the Penguins selected out of Guelph in the Ontario Hockey League. Got sidelined earlier this year with an injury, got a little bit of a late start, but is picked right back up where he left off. Again, not playing on a glamorous situation. His team's struggling. They're in a rebuilding transitional phase, but he's still a lot of fun to watch. And he's such an aggressive, proactive defenseman. He doesn't wait for things to happen. He's out there. He's constantly attacking, keeps a really strong gap. And then when he steals the puck, the offense he can generate after that is a lot of fun to watch. So has a fun tradition, Josh, of his billet mother in the CHL that he stays with. He was on a bit of a dry run last year. He wasn't scoring. And she took, she's a bit of a holistic naturalist, if you will, and they started setting mason jars of water out at night. And she said that the power of the moon would jazz the water up and get him to score, and it did. So he's stuck with that now. So they call him the Moon Man up there in Guelph because he sets that water out at night, lets the moon power soak it up, and I guess that gets him to score. So, but a really good two-way defenseman, guys, and somebody that again, just such a motor, really great skater, and is a real bulldog on the ice in all three zones.
You've mentioned some great names. If we stay with the name alone, Cruz Lucius. I mean, what a great name. I mean, come on, he's got to be on your radar, right?
It reminds you a little bit of like a villain in an old '90s hockey movie, right? Yeah. Having another guy having a great season in college, and at times the team has really looked to him to be the sole provider of offense in tough situations. He has scored some big goals this year in dramatic fashion, late in games, comeback style stuff to seal games off when the team needs him. But you get a lot. I'll tell you, you really get a Brian Rust vibe, I think, when you watch him, even down to when Rust was at Notre Dame, thinking back to that same age. I think they're very similar players, right? I think that they're tough to take down. They hunt open space really well, and they have unassumingly great shots. And I think with Lucius, you add a touch of speed to that. His ability to break away from opponents is what has really set him apart this season. His first and second step is greatly improved. So when that puck hits his stick and he hits those jets, he's a tough guy to catch. So I think, again, looking forward to a pro debut from him in the not too distant future, but a player that certainly has made a name for himself at the college hockey level this year with, his ability to be involved in some really trademark moments for his team.
Well, Jesse, this has been some awesome stuff. Dan, I don't know if you have anything more to ask Jesse, but incredible detail. And like I said, I think you really do an awesome job following the Penguins, their prospects, and honestly, even outside of that, just everything you've done for the athletic elite prospects. I mean, it's been fun to follow along. Obviously, we'll continue, but thanks again for swinging by. It's been really insightful. Seriously,
I appreciate it anytime, gentlemen, and thank you both very much.
Welcome back to Unobstructed Views, an alternate way to enjoy Penguins hockey on Sportsnet Pittsburgh Plus and streaming on SMP 360. Penguins trailing the Blue Jackets right now in Pittsburgh 3-2 for Grateful Dead night. Rob, do you know the song?
I can't hear it.
Well, I'd be no help.
I can't hear it clearly now.
I'd be no help because I don't think I can name a Grateful Dead song. I feel ashamed to say that.
I saw him again, aging myself in college. I think I saw him 4 times. Mostly my friends are the big Grateful Dead fans, and I would just go to hang out with them because I love live music. Little Feat opened for him one time. I was a big Little Feat fan. I saw him with Tom Petty and Bob Dylan in Buffalo in 1986 on the 4th of July. So I was there to see. But I like them and I like their music. I'm a fan. I'm certainly not a Deadhead, but I do like their music, and I couldn't hear that one, so I'm of no help.
No, I wouldn't be either. I couldn't name a single song, so I feel ashamed to say that too. Maybe we have to do that this season, where you give me like a song, what I mean? How we talked about Paul with the Terminator.
Right.
You need to give me like a band to listen to, and I'll learn one of your favorites.
I have to say that I'm there with Taylor Swift. I know that she's an amazing musician who puts on great shows. I think writes her own music.
She owns all of her own music.
Right,
too.
is like the total package as far as performing and writing the music and all that stuff. But I don't know any of her music. And I saw a documentary on her. I thought it was fascinating. I thought it was great. See, Grateful Dead, Taylor Swift.
In the production truck, in the production studio right now, behind the scenes, screaming at you because Bree might be one of the biggest Taylor Swift fans that I know. So she'll make sure to educate you.
Well, my son's girlfriend's a huge Taylor Swift fan, so I'll get there, and we'll get a little Grateful Dead Taylor Swift back and forth thing going.
All right, I'm here for it. Let's go. Also, back for some hockey. It's been awesome, the guests that we've had tonight.
Yeah,
pretty cool to have a really wide range. We've talked baseball. We've talked how to make Pittsburgh an even better city to live in, and we've talked about Penguins hockey with Beau Bennett, who no one better to talk about some of those guys on the ice than him. He's had that experience. The third period is underway here. The Penguins do trail 3-2, but Rob, good news for you. The Pens have 2 wins this season when they trailed into the third period. Both were against Columbus.
I like it. Here we go, right here.
So we have some hope.
On the power play.
And they're bringing out some energy right off the jump. Now this is obviously not the best place to start either. In the third period here, down a man.
Oh yeah, shorthanded. They almost got looked like they were on the power play. They almost got the play from behind the net there. That's always dangerous, right? When the little scramble back there and almost pounced out of that would have been great, a shorthanded goal there.
You'd have to think too, when you're trying to gain momentum, the worst way to start a period is with fresh legs and the ones trying to kill the power play.
Yeah, well, Jay and I used to talk about that a lot, and I think we're both of the same mind that you don't, if you're on offense, if you're on the power play, you don't like that power play to be divided. And they lost, it looked like maybe 30 seconds, I didn't see the exact time, like 30 seconds or so. I mean, what you don't want is it divided like, in half, right?
Or like 15 seconds left or something,
But it can also, if you kill the penalty here in the next 15 seconds, this can also energize the team as well. So let's hope the Penguins can kill this off and get some energy and tie it back up.
Need that energy shift here. Rob, I'm curious though, you've been spending so much time watching football lately. How has it been being here watching some hockey with us? I know we've had a lot of guests and stuff, but are you enjoying kind of switching, turning the page a little bit?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I'm pretty much, when it, during Steelers season now, it's pretty much, all Steelers. Sid with a good chance there in the high slot. But, I watch so many games to prepare for the play-by-play, and so usually I'm watching the Steelers opponent almost exclusively over the course of a week to prepare for the play-by-play. So I don't see as much college football and other sports as I used to. Obviously, I'm still with the Pirates through the end of September, so that's about as split as my attention gets. And then it gets into, look, I love the process. I love doing the job, but it's also fun to be back watching the Penguins.
Pens ripping some chances here too. Maybe that momentum, like you were saying, energizes the team a little bit.
Right.
Once they kill that power play, looks like it's energized the Penguins a little bit. But Rob, I think it's really cool, A, to get to sit here and be the one asking you the questions, because you've done it for so long in Pittsburgh.
I'm on the other end of it tonight.
You've done it, and I don't mean it in so long in Pittsburgh so you can say, oh, she's calling me Father Rob and calling me old again. It's because I
Inside joke to Father Rob.
Right,
but
the
anyway,
Father
go
Rob
ahead.
thing.
Yeah.
I have admired you for a long time. I think you're amazing at what you do. It's been a privilege to be your coworker and get to have you even tossed to me during Pirate shows, but to have you here and to get to kind of take your place for a night. And
don't get too comfortable in that seat.
I'm
don't get too comfortable.
It's a privilege, but it's also really cool to get to hear the new voice of the Pittsburgh Steelers and have a connection with them, because that's such a coveted position here in Pittsburgh. Everyone knows the voice of the Steelers and what they mean. What did it mean to you to take over that role at this point in your career and just in general?
Well, I think there's a couple things I would say about that, because I've been asked that a few times, and I was reading Jim Rooney's book about his father, Dan Rooney, and in it, in one of the conversations, they talked about when you have a job for the Steelers, you're just the steward of that job. Even we've obviously seen Mike Tomlin step aside and the amazing consistency they've had at head coach. 3 head coaches in 56 years. And yet the sense you get is that you're just keeping that position for the next person. And obviously the head coach of the Steelers is a lot more important than the play-by-play guy for the Steelers. Bill Hillgrove held the job, beautifully. What a
Look at this.
Great guy, and love his voice.
In the action.
Love Bill's voice. Yeah, that was the missed field goal.
My God.
And Max Starks, my partner. By the way, if you want to feel, at 6 feet, 6'1", 200 pounds, whatever, you want to feel small,
yes,
hang around football
Max.
players.
Yep.
And Max Starks, yep. That'll let you know where you stand in the pecking order size-wise. But it's just, and frankly, Hannah, we've always treated the Penguins and the Pirates as the most important game going, right? And it has. So people have asked me about being the play-by-play guy for the Steelers. I mean, it's maybe naive of me to say, but the attention is greater than I expected it to be. So I never go into a job thinking, oh, this is going to be great, I'm going to get lots of attention. I go into a job because I love sports. That's what I love. I love football. I love baseball. Love hockey, and I'm just so blessed. It's been, I'm just having so much fun. It's been an absolute ball.
What was the season like for you this year, where it was really cool, I'm sure. It's always cool moments, at least in my career, when you look at the guys you have the privilege of getting to cover, the Andrew McCutcheons that I grew up watching, but then you have guys that come through the clubhouse that you wouldn't expect that are on your team and whatnot, and then getting to cover the young rising stars like a Paul Skeens. But in football, you get to cover a guy like Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. That had to have been a really cool thing to be able to witness or just see with how much he's impacted the game.
Yeah, and there were moments throughout the course of the season where he looked like 27-year-old Aaron Rodgers. I mean, it was really amazing how he turned back the clock at times. A disappointing end of the season for sure. Disappointing end of the season for him, for Mike Tomlin stepping aside, for the rest of the players in the team too. But it was an interesting season. A lot of people going into the season didn't see the Steelers as a playoff team. That shocked me. I thought they were a better team than they had been a year ago when they went to the playoffs. And, they not only added guys in free agency, not only had another good draft class, but added a first rounder and a third rounder for the year before. They basically didn't play. It's like
right.
2 more additional guys. So I thought they had I thought there was a playoff win in there. I'm sure they did too. I'm sure they're disappointed. I love being here, but could be in New England tonight. Getting ready for the game tomorrow, but so it goes.
And I think, selfishly, I wanted to see. Obviously, I want the Steelers to move on for a lot of reasons as a fan, but also I wanted to see New England and Steelers in this new era of football again, because we had seen it for so long for what it was when Tom Brady was there and when Big Ben was here, and I wanted to see that revived look of both teams. That new the storylines were great. For someone who loves the story, I wanted the storyline, but I wanted the Steelers more than anything, Rob. So it's interesting, though, when you talk about, Mike Tomlin. Obviously, that news huge this week. I think I'd seen something, too, where people were saying, is Don Kelly the longest tenured head coach, if you will, in Pittsburgh sports right now?
Yeah, I think that's right. And good for Don. I can't wait for baseball season. But, when you think about there were a couple of stories. Mike DeFabo wrote one about, in The Athletic, just a great story about how the players reacted to Mike Tomlin leaving. And, grown men weeping. It goes to show you, look, fans have their opinions about things, and they're entitled. You're entitled to your opinion as a fan. You pay your money, you put in your time, you buy your gear, you cheer on your team. You're entitled to your opinions, but that's a tough loss for a lot of people in that organization.
Absolutely. Big turnover here in Pittsburgh sports. New generations, if you will. We got more Penguins hockey coming up next.
Here, we don't just watch the Penguins. We live every tipped puck.
Unbelievable.
Every battle.
Give me more of this.
Every new prospect.
This is a glimpse of the future.
Everything you love about the Pens, we do too.
I'm down here between the benches.
You know what that means, Pens fans?
Cheers for that.
The fuck did they score? We manifested it.
Stream the Penguins all season long on SNP 360.
No one gets you ready for puck drop like Penguins Face Off Live. Pre-game insights, analysis, and a word straight from the coach. Penguins Face Off Live before every game on Sportsnet Pittsburgh. Presented by Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Welcome back to Unobstructed Views. We're talking a lot of hockey,
that's the old
a lot
cover.
of football
That's
with
the old
Rob
cover
King.
of the book, yeah.
But
yeah.
he's also an author. Just came out with his second book of the Cavanland series, Sandina's Prophecy. It is out, available. People, get your books. I still need to read them.
Come
the Door
on,
and the
Hannah
Stone
Mears.
is the first one. I know.
What
I
the
feel bad
heck?
that I've never actually got to read them yet, but I'm really looking forward to it. Rob, first and foremost, tell us about this.
Yeah, so my buddy Sally Wiggins, she's the best. She's going to be with me to co-host. She co-hosted an event with me about the first book at Riverside Books in McCandless last year. So 7 o'clock on Tuesday, we're doing that. So it's an hour. There's refreshments. It doesn't cost anything. So if you want to come by, just try to sign up so Riverstone can know how many seats to put out there. And then 2 days after that, Blythe Books in Brentwood. Sally's going to be there again.
Very
and
cool.
Sally's great. She's been a big supporter of the books, and she's a really she's a legend. I don't mean to talk up Sally
Everyone
Wiggin.
in
As
Pittsburgh
Mike
knows
Tomlin would
Sally
say,
Wiggin,
she
right?
needs no endorsement from me. Sally Wiggin
Well,
needs no endorsement from me.
I mean, this is the coolest. The
So
coolest
that's
thing
it. So,
to see different sides of you.
Cooper redid the cover.
Okay, so
my
Rob's
daughter did the
daughter,
covers. Yeah.
Rob's daughter, when he was saying that wasn't the original cover, Rob's daughter actually illustrated both of these covers, correct?
Yep.
So tell us about, does she have an art background? Why
So
her? What did she
she's
want?
getting she is living in Scotland and studying. She's going to wants to be an English professor in school, so she's getting a PhD. But she's a very talented artist. Was a very good clarinet player growing up. Was a really good at art. I was so bad at art. I was like the one kid in kindergarten who got a B in art. You know, like every other kid got an A, and they're like, "We just can't. You're so bad, we can't give you an A." You know, so she's. I don't know where she got it from because my wife Megan. I don't know if she's. You know, Megan's got plenty of great skills, but neither one of us can draw worth a lick. And somehow our daughter Cooper can.
Very cool.
Yep.
And I mean, did you give her, the characters on here, there's actual like characters with faces, so that's a hard thing to come up with, I think, and so you don't like mimic something else. Right. Did you kind of tell her what you envisioned these characters to look like, or was this?
Yes, and there's chapter drawings. There's some chapter drawings, not for every chapter, but it's interesting that I had a vision for him. And then Cooper drew him, and now the vision in my mind is kind of blended between my vision as I was writing the stories over the last 10 years and Cooper's a vision of drawing them. So they've kind of blended together. I guess kind of when you see a movie, like if you read the Harry Potter books, right? You think of Harry Potter looking a certain way, then you see him in the movie, and then you're like, now if you're reading the book, what does he look like in your mind? You know, as you kind of blend them together.
Rob, when did you have the time? You cover just about every professional sports team in Pittsburgh.
People are like, what are you doing?
He's a husband. He's a dog owner. He really does it all.
Yeah.
And he's writing books, and not just a book, like, because I think it's one thing to write a book about like your life and your journaling, and it's easier to tell that story. You're like in a different world.
Yeah. So I've always been a big reader. I mean, sports and reading are like probably my two biggest hobbies. I mean, if I'm not covering sports, I've played sports my entire life. we're talking about Beau Bennett. You don't get better at certain sports. So I had to give up basketball. I played football in college, small college football, as people probably know or may know. But I've always been a big reader. I was an English major in college. And, I'd fiddled around with writing. People suggested, oh, you should write a book or whatever over the years. And I tried it, and I didn't really have anything to say that was interesting, and it never really caught my fancy. And then my friend Kevin Smith, who is used to be a producer here, then went out to Hollywood, to LA, and was a scriptwriter, and now he heads up Pitt's production department, University of Pittsburgh. He was like, I think you should write for a younger audience. And I started writing, and I couldn't stop, and so that's it. So now I got 2 books and a 3rd one on the way.
I think it's so fascinating that when you say, you started writing, you couldn't stop, like, how did you decide the land is named Cavan Land and this is this? Like, that had to have been the oddest, thing.
It was strange, and looking through, old, Norse names or whatever, coming up with characters, because I didn't want it to be, the mythical character. I didn't want it to be dwarves and elves. Everybody has dwarves and elves,
right.
So they aren't. They're different characters. So I researched some of it, and then so that was part of it. Yes. How do you name somebody? How do you name a country? How do you name a person? Maybe something sounds good. Maybe it's something you saw during your research. The characters. There's something in Norwegian culture called the Huden something or another, which means hidden people. So I changed the name slightly, and that's one of the mythical characters in this book. But I imbued them with my own sense of who they were. I gave them my own traits. So a little bit of mythology and a little bit of my own imagination. And I've told this to people. My wife and I will watch a show or something if I'm not working. I'm going to go to bed. Yeah, I'll be right up. It's, 9:45 or something. And next thing I know, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. And I thought I'd been doing it for 15 minutes. So it's just something I really enjoy doing. I really love doing it. And I'm glad people like the books, too. So.
Well, I'm excited to read them. And I hope you guys will, too. Make sure you find Rob King's books out there. And we'll be back with more book talk, sports talk, and Penguins. Stick with us.
Inside Penguins Hockey is back.
Let's go eat sushi.
For an all-new season.
And now he's your best friend.
Yeah.
Hitting a line in the water is always a joy for me.
Inside Penguins Hockey. New episodes every month on Sportsnet Pittsburgh. Presented by UPMC Health Plan. The road to puck drop begins on Penguins Tonight. A first look at the latest game news, stories from around the league, and so much more. Penguins Tonight, 1 hour before every game on Sportsnet Pittsburgh. Presented by Morgan & Morgan.
Views. If that face looks familiar, that is 10 years ago. That is the young Hannah Mears with a big dream. The Pittsburgh Steelers, Rob, were in my hometown of Latrobe for Friday Night Lights at my high school. They do a practice there, as you're familiar with, one time during their training camp in the summer. And I got to be a runner at ESPN. I got to work at the Sports Center desk, and that is when I decided that very night I was going into sports broadcasting.
Awesome.
So 10 years ago today, 2016 is now the new 2026 Rob King. That is the social media trend that's happening all over social media platforms right now. People are posting pictures from 2016. That's Rob King with Pat Narduzzi in 2016.
Yeah.
Your hair was a little darker, but Rob, other than that, you haven't aged much at all.
Oh no, my hair was a little darker back then.
It was. does, but you haven't aged at all, Rob.
I went to get a haircut. They put gray in my hair. I don't know what they were doing.
Well, you got to go back. Let them know. I think the gray works on you, Rob.
It is what it is.
I do.
You know what I mean?
It is. It's all there. I don't, like we said,
it's not all. It's not all there, Hannah.
They're mistaking you for potash.
I'm not letting anybody look back here. It's not all there, Hannah.
No, but I'm so curious. So it's funny because the new thing on social media right now is everybody saying 2026 is the new 2016, and then they post pictures of themselves from 2016 because it's 10 years ago. So wanted to put up pictures of us and just see how far we've come since then and what that was.
Well,
but
you
I'm
look
curious.
like you were in high school back then. You still look young.
That was about to be my freshman. Thank you. My freshman year.
Like you're in high school.
A lot blonder, a lot more hair, a lot blonder. Chubbier face, all the things. But yeah, that was heading into my freshman year of college, and I knew that night that this is what I was going to do with the rest of my life, and I never looked back. And it was really cool to be able to, sit at that desk and be around the people. I was with Merle Hodge, Herm Edwards, Ryan Clark.
Had you known that before? Had you been interested in it before?
I thought I was going to be a neonatal nurse practitioner was my goal at one point. I wanted to go into nursing, wanted to work with babies, love little kids, love babies. There's a lot of women in my family who are in the medical field, specifically in nursing, and my mom was a dental hygienist, so somewhere in the medical field or helping people was just where I always thought I'd end up, but something about it just wasn't like my passion. Like I didn't feel really excited about it, and then once I realized that broadcasting was an option, I was like, oh, that's me. Like I like to talk, I like to tell stories, I like to, interact with people. I'm interested in people, and I'm interested in sports specifically. So it all kind of clicked there that night for me watching it, and the adrenaline of it. I don't know. I mean, I must have enjoyed going and getting coffees and running to Lowe's to get this little thing for a production because, being a runner on a set, you're pretty much sent to do everything nobody else wants to do.
Right.
So I remember just being terrified carrying like 12 Starbucks coffees by myself, being like, if I spill any of these, this is it for me. They're never going to put in a good word for me ever again. So it's pretty cool to look now 10 years later and see what's happened.
Well, one of the things you mentioned there, I think, is one of the things that if you're in this business, you better have, and that's curiosity. Like you need to be curious about. That's what keeps us asking questions. And if it's hard news, it's trying to find out the truth. If it's sports, it's a different curiosity, but you're curious. You want to know the answer to things, and you're trying to get after them, and then you want to share those with other people, and I think that's an important part of what we do.
Yeah, I am curious, and I'm so curious about you too. In 2016, there, at that point, what led up to that point, or where were you at? I guess in your point career, at what was at one point AT&T and Root and Fox, and now Sportsnet. It's taken on a bunch of different terms, but
it's been well, again. It's hard to remember what happened in what year. I mean, I remember the Penguins won the Stanley Cup that year.
Right.
Obviously. I do remember that. The Pirates are just coming off that 3-year run of being really good. That was Coach Narduzzi. Was that in the studio? Was that in this studio, or was that over at Pitt?
It looked like it was over at Pitt.
Oh, it was at Pitt. Okay, it was over at Pitt. So I did a show with Pitt for a while, but of course I did play-by-play at Pitt. I did play-by-play at West Virginia. I did high school football here. So, but the years kind of like, it's been such a joy. This has been such an unbelievable place to work, and you're really fortunate if you get a place like this to work at any point in your career. And to have been here for as long as I've been here with all the people. And we mentioned Cliff Wincoop and Mikey Welsh, and I mean, I'm not going to name everybody because they're all wonderful. They're all great at what they do. And the sort of hackneyed phrase, a family, it really is. It really, truly is here. And so, the years maybe, people say, what year did you stop doing high school football? I don't remember, honestly. I don't remember when we started. It was about 10 years. I don't remember when it started and when it ended. I just remember I sure had a wonderful time doing it.
Yeah.
And it's been great being here.
It's so great. And it's so true when you say about being a family here, because it was nerve-wracking coming in and being the new kid on the block and not really knowing anybody. And I idolized all of you growing up, watching you on TV and just thinking it was so cool what you did. And then getting into the industry, then you're paying attention even more to who people are and what they do. So really cool to now sit here and be a part of it. And be with you on screen is so fun.
Glad we didn't disappoint you, Hannah.
No, you didn't disappoint. And I'm glad
you never know, right? You never know.
And Rob can take my jabs, and that's the best part, back and forth.
Well, that's the other thing too. You got to kind of bust the chops. And Hannah, you throw Hannah left, she'll come back with a right and then another left. So you got to be careful.
Although I do get censored on Sportsnet Pittsburgh as well. We found out in the break. Sorry, Mom. It's from my grandmother. I got a trucker mouth from her. I blame her.
Yeah.
That's who I blame.
Right.
But Rob, it's been fun having you on Unobstructed Views. Not that I don't miss Max being here. We love having Max around. Yeah. He's so energized all the time on the set and brings such a fun aura with him. But a lot of exciting things.
It's different. Like, I mean,
different.
So our work will go something like we'll talk, and then we'll have our conversations, maybe sometimes in the morning or whatever, and then it's all business. Like, listen, not saying there's not some fun, obviously, to have, but what are you working on? What's your story? Here's how I'm going to throw to you. How are you going to throw back to me? Let's make sure this is now. How are Steven and Michael going to react to it? It's all business, and this is not.
Well,
it's kind of nice.
Something you're a lot better at than I am is coming up with really creative ways to toss in and out of things. So as we go to break here, I don't have anything creative, but I can't wait to hear how Rob King came up with all of his wonderful phrases when we come back.
Inside Penguins Hockey is back.
Let's go eat sushi.
For an all-new season.
And now he's your best friend.
Yeah. Hitting a line in the water is always a joy for me.
Inside Penguins Hockey. New episodes every month on Sportsnet Pittsburgh. Presented by UPMC Health Plan. The road to puck drop begins on Penguins Tonight. A first look at the latest game news, stories from around the league, and so much more. Penguins Tonight, 1 hour before every game on Sportsnet Pittsburgh. Presented by Morgan & Morgan.
Welcome back to Unobstructed Views. It has been so fun to have Rob King here so far with some time still left in the game for the Pittsburgh Penguins. But we have a viewer question. We appreciate everyone tuning in. This is a viewer tuning in from Australia on YouTube at Ian Vick. We're very excited that you wrote into us, and everyone using hashtag SNP Views over on X, you can send us a tweet there as well, and we'll get back to you. But have you ever seen Australian rules football? We know you see a lot of American football.
They do this when they score. The officials come up and go. So, yeah, I've seen it. I got to tell you something. I was in Dublin years ago, and we were watching Gaelic football. So in Gaelic football, you have to play for the town you're from. Like if you're from Louth, you're playing for Louth. You don't get to be bought by Dublin, and it's all amateur.
I like that.
And there was a championship game.
I
think it might have been at Croke Park where they had the Steelers played this year, and there was a controversial call at the end, and a fan ran out and took a swing at the referee, but it was a wild, fun game, and I thought, hopefully one day I get to I hope, knock on wood, I'm still around when my career ends. There's no end of phenomenal sports to go check out and go see in person. Always going to love football, baseball, basketball, hockey. Always going to love the sports that I grew up watching. Tennis, golf. But Australian rules football, man, I can get behind that. I'm all over it. And Gaelic football, I'm all over Gaelic football.
It's on the list.
Can't wait.
Anything like aggressive, I'm there. And it seems fast-paced, aggressive. That's what I'm reading online. So I love that question. But on that same note of there's never, enough sports to watch. There's so many out there to get to see. What are your thoughts on all of these overseas games? The Pens went to Sweden and had a series. You got to go to Dublin with the Steelers. The NFL's really growing overseas competitions. What are your thoughts on it all?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, I think that anytime you can bring the sports internationally, it helps bring the world together. I mean, obviously in hockey, Sweden they've produced great players. It's a great hockey playing country. And, there haven't been a lot of great European players in our football and NFL football. and to be able to, and listen, there are large, fast men all over the planet. You know, they're not just from America. And so to be able to grow the game around the globe and its popularity, obviously, I mean, the experience in Ireland was just incredible. And, you know, it's very different the way there's not a lot of tailgating going on. Everybody walks to the game, and they'll hit a watering hole or two on the way there, but they're not cooking up food. They're going to they go to the game, and you know, my wife and I, Meg, we went to Real Madrid soccer game, and it was very much like that. And it was very exciting, and the crowd kind of going in together and spilling out together. Like, I mean, I'm talking about en masse, and the excitement of it, and to see, you know, listen, they've been trying to bring soccer and have brought soccer here for years. So to import football to Mexico and South America and Europe and Germany and Ireland, fantastic. And the Irish experience, the people there were so friendly, and the crowd was so into it. It was a great experience.
What was it like? Did you have a chance to just stop in a pub and see what that experience was like when people are all in there? Like, you had to have just stopped in and just see it.
I've been there before.
Yeah, but in this capacity with Steelers fans and football fans.
Well, I did some post-game shows and shows with the guys from DV, you know, Randy and the rest of the crew there, so I had a chance to see it. It was mobbed, and I mean, crazy, and just the excitement level was through the roof, and you know, the city was decked out mostly in black and gold. You saw a little bit of purple and gold, but not much. It was pretty much all black and gold. So I mean, they were into it, and that goes back to to Mr. Rooney being the ambassador to Ireland, and you know, those seeds have already been sown for Steelers fans in Pittsburgh. But it was all just a fabulous experience.
It was cool. I also thought it was cool, even this year, seeing baseball open up with the series with the Dodgers and the Cubs, and they went over to Japan and they played a series, and I thought that was so cool. And hearing the Cubs reporter Taylor McGregor she talked to me a little bit when I was asking her about it, just to hear about just how loud the fans were, how into it everybody was, what the experience was like. Like, the possibilities for sports seem endless when you look at it from those types of microscopes.
So, Taylor, former intern here.
Crazy, yes, former
Phenomenal.
Intern.
She's awesome. She's terrific, and
killing it with ESPN now,
she's going.
too.
She's done great things. You know, you can tell when people come in here, you're like, okay, you knew Taylor was going to be fantastic. And it's good to see her every once in a while. She comes into town with the Cubs. She's great. But yeah, I'd love to see. Hey, Korea's a great baseball playing country. Let's maybe now we go to Korea and start moving the great game of baseball. And obviously we know throughout Latin America, baseball is gigantic. I was able years ago. I went down to the Dominican Republic to cover what was going on with the Pirates in the offseason, and I saw a Dominican Winter League game down there. So there's just a few U.S. players, a lot of players from the Dominican Republic, and the atmosphere was it was phenomenal. Totally different from, I mean, people, you know, kazoos blowing and, you know, people dancing up on top of the dugouts, you know, between innings. It was a great experience, and I love to see baseball, you know, moving around too, because it's, you know, listen, love to see the games grow.
Well, the Penguins here still have a chance. Just under 2 minutes, trailing 3-2 to Columbus.
Yeah,
it's been a great game. There's change here in Pittsburgh in these different teams, and we talked a little bit about it. But what's been your thoughts here in general, just seeing the tides turn in Pittsburgh sports, seeing what the Penguins still have the potential to do under Dan Mears this season, and then seeing obviously what John Kelly has an opportunity to do with the Pirates.
Listen, I think it's a really exciting time. You know, we're talking about Mike Tomlin stepping aside, and again, you know, on a personal level, like, these coaches now are probably going to have to uproot their families and move. And, you know, for the head coaching, it's one thing. I mean, these guys, they make a lot of money, and maybe that comes with the job. But assistant coaches now, the uncertainty in their lives, they got wives and kids. And, you know, we saw the same thing here with the coaching staff for the Pirates. So that part of it, the human part of it, is difficult to watch. But look, I think the Steelers they still have a very good roster. You know, the Penguins, I think they've been remarkable. I don't think a lot of people expected them to be this good, frankly. And I think they've shown there's some hope for hopefully not a long rebuild and get right back at it. And then what the Pirates have done is extremely. There we go.
And look at that.
And I'm talking about Sid all night. Nice little shot pass, and he's right on the doorstep for the deflection. Empty netter. Way to go. Let's play a little more hockey, Hannah.
Let's play a little more hockey.
It's
Rob.
fantastic. And I love it's hard not to love what the Pirates have done in the offseason they've had, as we were talking about with Spencer Horwitz, and you're going to be obviously covering him every day. So can't wait. Can't wait. I think the arrow's up for all three franchises.
I agree. It's exciting. It's exciting, too, when you see stuff like this deflected right off of Sid's stick. I mean, talk about a guy, we've talked about it all night. Right place, right time.
From Letang, yep.
From Tanger,
too.
A guy that Bennett was saying, seemed a little more under the radar, but still a big part of that three-headed monster. But leave it to them to tie this game and give the Penguins some hope. Again, they hit it. They were doing so well. It was 6-game win streak. Then they're on a 3-game skid. They come back against the Flyers. Sid was big in that game as well to win. So to see them win here again tonight at home, have a lot of momentum. Whew. It's all right. Sometimes you need a little safety on the post.
Now you're thinking, hey, let's at least get to overtime and secure the point here.
It would be nice. It would be nice to see. I'm sure. I mean, it seems like there's a big crowd there tonight as well. Really exciting for them. Yep. But Sidney Crosby, Rob. I mean, gosh. It seems like every Unobstructed View show, because there's been a milestone marker for him just about at every game he's been involved in this season. We've talked about him extensively. At one point in our first show, too, we had an ISO cam on him as well as Gino and Letang when they were on the ice, and it was so cool to get to watch them move on the ice in a different way. Just follow them the whole game and see what they do. See everything from their point of view, but what a privilege to get to sit here and watch him play hockey. It seems like you just soak it in, you know, the more you see it.
And I think we're going to get a chance to watch a little bit more hockey, which will be fun, too, as well. By the way, thanks for saying nice things about me. For everyone out there, Hannah, phenomenal work ethic, great, and that's what helps you. That's what helps you come into a new environment, whether it's an office building or a new job. Show that work ethic that you always did.
Rob
so
King.
Way to go.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's an intimidating environment to walk into here when everybody's as good as you, Rob. So it is hard to compete with that. But good news. I knew you missed me during Steelers season. I didn't know you missed me this much.
We're going to get bonus
we got
stuff.
Bonus hockey
Good
here
deal.
on Unobstructed Views. Stick with us. More coming up next.
Here, we don't just watch the Penguins. We live every tipped puck.
Unbelievable.
Every battle.
Give me more of this.
Every new prospect.
This is a glimpse of the future.
Everything you love about the Pens, we do too.
I'm down here between the benches.
You know what that means, Pens fans?
Cheers for that.
The fuck did they score? We manifested it.
Stream the Penguins all season long on SNP 360.
No one gets you ready for puck drop like Penguins Face Off Live. Pre-game insights, analysis, and a word straight from the coach. Penguins Face Off Live before every game on Sportsnet Pittsburgh. Presented by Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Well, lucky you at home. It's been a minute since you've seen us, but we're back, and we're going to be back for a little bit longer because Sidney Crosby tied up this game at 3. We have some extra minutes here of Penguins hockey. I'm Hannah Mears alongside Rob King. Thanks for tuning in with us all night here on Unobstructed Views, an alternate viewing experience for Penguins hockey. Rob, we're having fun, but I really didn't have many doubts that the Penguins were going to come back in this one. I gave you that stat early on. Columbus seems to give up a lead to the Pens in the third period. But leave it to a guy like Crosby to make that come true.
Yeah, and Letang with a nice feed to Crosby from the point. And here's a look at the goal. You know, Sidney Crosby always working hard. So you can't go with him, right? You can't. You got to make sure you protect the front of the net, and then Sid finds the open area. And, I have to tell you, I think the two, just off the top of my head now, the two greatest rule changes in sports in the last X amount of years, 3-on-3 hockey in overtime. I think it is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. It's being, there's the coaching element of hanging onto the puck and swooping back has taken a little of the excitement away, but it's still incredibly exciting. And then the pitch clock in baseball.
Oh, amen. Amen. Hallelujah.
It was something that was long overdue because you needed to look after the game. You needed to marshal the game, and it was just getting too long, too much time between pitches. Mm-hmm. And I know that there were, here we go in front. Oh! I know that there were some players that maybe were against it because, look, it's their career, it's their time. They don't know how is my arm going to react, between faster pitches as a baseball player or what have you. And luckily, I don't think that's caused any injuries or anything. That was the one big concern. But the pacing of the game, much like when hockey came out of the lockout, those games had extended to 3 hours. And there were times when they used to, a face-off, every face-off was a de facto timeout. And the players would be, gathering, and then I remember once or twice they just dropped the puck when one team wasn't even ready in the face-off zone. Come on. Oh!
There it is. Come on.
Oh! Come on, Gino. We've been talking about Letang and Sid.
Cool to see Gino playing with the 18-year-old on the ice, too, and Ben Kindle, who had that nice opportunity there early on. But cool to see that turnover a little bit, too, and Ben Kindle make his mark here and make Dan Mears have no choice but to keep him on the ice here in Pittsburgh this season.
Well, since, when I'm an anchor, I don't get to express my opinion all the time. But see, I'm not anchoring right now.
Yeah.
Just
you were the guest. The floor is yours.
An absolute joke that Evgeny Malkin was not considered one of the top 100 players when they came up with that list. Just a joke. I mean, come on. Open up your eyes and watch the man play and tell me he's not one of the top 100 players of all time.
Not to mention the impact that players have as well in the game. If you ask most people who weren't even fans of hockey, but just general knowledge, that's definitely one of the names that you would think would come
Absolutely.
up. And to me, that's what makes your list, right?
Yeah, and I was glad, I always tell people, I'm a pretty happy guy, as you know. Like, I'm a pretty upbeat guy. When I get to drive by myself, when I'm the only one on the road, and when I get to select, oh, what a save.
Nice.
When I get to select everybody who's in the Hall of Fame, I was glad to see Dave Parker finally go in, I guess is my point there. Finish it here. Nope. Great opportunity.
Absolutely.
See, this is just
Talk
so
about a guy
thrilling.
who's always smiling, too.
I mean, look at this action here. This,
I love this.
It's
I
just
love
so
some
much
3-on-3 action.
Okay, now he wants to get off, I think. He wants to change. And I say that because, Dick Allen, who's from not far from here, Dave Parker, Tony Oliva a couple years ago. So glad to see those guys finally in the Hall of Fame. I thought much, much deserved. And, I know their lists, the list of Evgeny Malkin not being in the top 100, that's not going to keep him from being in the Hockey Hall of Fame. But no. It would be nice to see him get his just desserts as one of those kind of players. And there's no doubt in my mind that he's a top 100 player of all time. None.
I agree. Somebody submit that to the top 100 list soon. So
there, I got that off my
Rob's
chest.
Opinion. I'm really glad you had a therapy session.
I had to quickly get it before the Penguins scored.
Before they score, we need them to score.
Right.
It seems like
this
they
is
have
so
all the
exciting
right now. It's 3-on-3. It's exciting, and I agree. I don't know how you guys covered baseball for so long without the pitch clock, because there are games where I'm sitting there, I'm like, man, this feels like it's forever, and it would have just been the average time maybe of a game before that, the ones that go long.
Yeah.
And like a 2.5-hour game sometimes can feel long in 90-degree heat. So I think it's made it way more fun. There's also an advantage built in there a little bit, I think. It just adds the intensity of the game. And same thing with 3-on-3. Faster. People want to see faster, quicker, things happening, a lot of action. So I'm here for it.
You have to do something for the fans. And the quicker game is for the fans. And the quicker game in hockey was for the fans. The quicker game in baseball is for the fans. If you're at a game now, think about going into as a fan to a game 5 or 6 years ago. Pitch. Now what are most fans doing? Reaching into their pocket, pulling out their phone, wondering what's going on because the next pitch isn't coming for a while. It happens now, you're going to miss stuff. That was an incredible save.
That save looked great.
Yeah, incredible.
But so much better when you slow it down and see how close that actually was. And the goaltending for the Penguins, we've talked about it, has come up big a lot recently, specifically after that holiday break. The goaltending's been fantastic. And it's been a turnover in goaltending here in Pittsburgh, so it's nice to see.
Yeah. Yeah, Tristan Jarry was good here prior to the trade to Edmonton, and it's interesting. They're trying to, you have great players, and you still want to be able to compete. You don't want to throw in the towel on a season, and yet you're also knowing that you have to try to get younger and fresher and more talented at the same time. Oh, here we go. Oh. So it's not easy what Kyle Dubas and his staff have to try to do. It's not an easy
and you feel like
transition.
you have to do it maybe quicker too, because you only have so much time with what you knew was the big three and the talent that you had before you have to possibly think about moving pieces, and it's going to anger people eventually just because of what they meant to this city, but tides turn eventually.
And the fortune also comes sometimes with being there and seeing the ping pong ball go your way when Sidney Crosby's available, and have another draft where there are a lot of drafts where there's not a single player.
Oh, beautiful.
Here we go. Oh, a lot of drafts where there's not a single player as great as Evgeny Malkin, and you got him second. You know what I mean? So, but that doesn't always happen. I mean, it's not like there's a generational player in every draft. So fans that say, well, they should just tank or whatever. Well, there's not always a Mario or a Sidney Crosby available. Most years, in fact, there isn't. I just named 2 of the 5 greatest players of all time, and those drafts stretched out over 20 plus years. Right? Yeah.
It doesn't happen that easy. And then, of course, you see it too all the time in football, where you see it year to year. Guys that are drafted number 1 overall, guys in the top 5, top 10. Guys not panning out, and then you find a diamond in the rough.
That's right. Yep. Yeah, no guarantee that quarterback at number 3 is going to be, a generational quarterback. We're going to a shootout. Another great.
How do you feel about a shootout here?
Oh, I think you're.
Oh yeah.
I think it's so exciting.
I think this is our 3rd one on Unobstructed Views this season.
I mean, again, you as a sport, you have to, and we see labor negotiations that go back and forth, and who are you for? You're for the players. You're for the owners. Well, how about somebody being for the fans? You know what I mean? And I think that
investing.
Yeah, that's
sport.
right. The ones that are, without them, you don't. Just missed it. Without them, you don't have this. We don't have jobs. They don't have jobs. It doesn't exist. And so, I think that 3-on-3 hockey, and I think the shootout. We mentioned the pitch clock. Football. And of course, football. They're trying to get the games within 3 hours because, again, they want to have the television, and they want to keep people. So they're always, they instituted the rule a few years ago where not every out of bounds, the clock stops. Now there has to be certain times in each half for the clock to stop. Again, to keep the pace going and to keep the fans interested. Somebody has to be there for the fans.
That's what we're doing with Unobstructed Views, an alternate way to watch Penguins hockey. Why? Because some people are more interested in being able to have a conversation while the game's going on.
This is exactly, by the way, if I was with my buddies watching, this is exactly what we would be talking about, right? We'd be talking, and you'd be bouncing around. It's about time Dave Parker got in the Hall of Fame.
This is going on, right?
I love the 3-hour game. We gotta have a 3-on-3 shit. That's just the way it goes.
And that's what these shows are designed to be for the average viewer who wants to enjoy the game, but also be sitting there and having a conversation along with us. I've been enjoying it, having Rob. And I do feel like I've just been sitting here watching the game with a buddy, and
fun.
We've gone everywhere from books to hockey to football to baseball, and now we've got a shootout. So we've got to see it all too.
Available on Amazon right now, but they're going to be at bookstores. I'm getting them. They're going to be at bookstores. Going to get them in Pittsburgh.
The Venus Prophecy in the Caveland series. If you've enjoyed Rob King, just wait till you hear his imagination in these books. All right, here it goes, Rob.
Yeah, and then then you have do you go slow? Do you go fast? Medium pace? What do you try to do here? It's interesting, too, some guys who are just really great at shootouts. They just have great hands.
These were always so tough for me in soccer. I always wanted to take like a PK or something like that. But then it was also just, there was some people who just had a knack for it. Some of them weren't even the best players on the team. This one by Shilov's there.
Yeah, it snuck through. It's a good move.
But it's interesting. It's an art form. And you see when you go to a Penguins practice, you see them practice this a lot and right at the end. And, I was at a Penn State hockey practice earlier this season covering some stuff on Sportsnet, watching them send some guys out to try it. It's truly, it's an art form. There's strategy. But at the end of the day, sometimes, too, it's luck. It's where you can get the goaltender guessing.
Yeah, that's tough. Need a save here. I go about 10 rounds tonight.
Oof.
All right, have to have a save here.
Would you ever want to be a goalie in this situation, Rob? You get the chance to be the hero, but...
Yeah, I think you would. Sure. Nice.
Sometimes I feel like it's like, would you want to be the kicker?
But here's the thing. Here's the thing that anybody who's played sports knows is that it's far more nerve-wracking being a fan, actually, because there's nothing you can do, right? Like, as a player, you're in the groove of it, you know. Mm-hmm. And if you're the kind of player that would be bothered by this, you're probably not at this level, you know.
Right. There we go.
10 rounds.
Keep it rolling.
I'm here for it. Yep. Chidikoff, one of the newer players, right?
Mm-hmm.
You see, it's funny. I see that 59. I think of a different player, but you know.
Yeah.
Oh, somebody with a Jerry Garcia sign. Grateful Dead. Singer-songwriter.
Oh,
you'll know all about them by the middle of the summer.
I'll know all about it, and you'll be singing Taylor Swift like you wouldn't believe.
Okay, there we go. We're at 7 more rounds to go. I'm calling it 10 rounds. Yeah, so Jerry Garcia was the principal singer and songwriter for the band, and guitarist, lead guitarist. As opposed to Taylor Swift, who's the principal, all that stuff.
Of all of it,
yeah,
and now owns all of her stuff.
Yeah.
Good for her. Women, what are you going to do? We rock. Ooh.
No doubt, no question.
Denied.
No question. Yeah, it's because of my wife. Megan, I get to live under a rock.
Right.
Just pay attention to sports and books. Thanks, Megan.
She'll keep you posted on everything else important in the world.
That's exactly how it works. Come on. Oh, that's a good move.
Wow.
That's a good move. That was filthy.
Nothing you can do there.
Yeah, that was a great move. That was a great move.
That's one of the ones you want to go back and you're going to be looking for on social media later, scrolling, you know?
Move. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, tough one for the Pens there, but battled it out.
Hey, good to pick up a point there, right?
Good to pick up a point.
Late. I mean, once you get there, obviously you want to get 2, but you know they'll have to be happy with the point. It was really a good hockey game.
It really was. We had all the action tonight. A great show as well. Rob King, you can come back anytime that you'd like. We'd love to have you on Unobstructed Views. Everyone head over to Amazon, get his books, the Calvin Land series, book 2 out now. You got to get into his fantasy world. It's been great to have Rob here with us tonight. It was great to have Mayor Corey O'Connor, the mayor of Pittsburgh, stop by. Spencer Horwitz, the Pittsburgh Pirates first baseman, was here with us. And of course, Beau Bennett was here as well, as Stanley Cup champion with the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Thanks,
it's been an awesome time. Thank you to everyone behind the scenes as well for making this possible. The Pittsburgh Penguins couldn't pull it out, but they do get a point. We hope you join us next time on Unobstructed Views, an alternate way to enjoy your Penguins hockey. We had a great time hanging out with you, and we'll see you next time on Sportsnet Pittsburgh Plus and SNP 360.
Inside Penguins Hockey is back.
Let's go eat sushi.
For an all-new season.
And now he's your best friend.
Yeah. Getting a line in the water is always a joy for me.
Inside Penguins Hockey. New episodes every month on Sportsnet Pittsburgh. Presented